Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good afternoon. Good evening and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits. Let me tell you something. Another day above the dirt is always a blessing. So chin up, my brothers and sisters. We are still on this planet alive and kicking and breathing and all of that good stuff. Let us not forget that. All right, guys. But we got a few things we got to talk about before we get into trial, because they are just getting things moving, okay? Things have just started to open back up, the conversations and everything. The trial is about to start. They will most likely be bringing in their first witness at some point here. And it's going to be, like I said, I think it's going to be very interesting. Yep, this is going to be interesting. Oh, wow. This is going to be interesting. So we got some things we got to talk about. Okay, so do me a favor. Before we get into everything, hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button, please, and thank you. Hit that reaction button if you are watching on those other platforms, or if you are watching on those other platforms like Facebook, X/, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble. Please make sure you hit that follow button. Follow me on my platforms, please, because there's going to be some stuff coming up that may not be on this YouTube channel. I don't know. I might just do it on this channel too. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Subscribe on my main channel here. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Subscribe over there, please, and thank you. All right. Hit that notification bell on both platforms so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random. Okay. Now, of course, hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And of course, do not forget, check out PascalMerch.com. Okay, PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. Go check it out. Okay, we got to get into this conversation because they have started. Things have commenced. All right, the first witness has been called to the stands. And we got to get into this. Let's take a look at this. There's something I do want to share with you guys, and we might take a little bit of a second away from this testimony so that you guys can hear this piece. I saw this on Law and Crime and shout out to Law and Crime, of course. But I saw this on Law and Crime while I was waiting, while I was eating my lunch, you know what I mean? Just trying to, get my sustenance is in, okay? And I thought that what a lawyer, what the guest said on the show, I thought was very interesting. So I wanted to share that with y'all and have a conversation with you guys about that. So let's get into this. Oh, and also, let me just say this. I want to say this really quick. Shout out to all of my mods. You guys are amazing. You guys are doing an amazing job out there. Shout out for always holding it down, keeping these YouTube, the family chat streets clean. I appreciate you guys. Seriously. Thank you so much for all your amazing work. Especially on over the next 8 weeks, it's going to be insane. Okay. Just so you guys know. So shout out again. You have no idea how much you guys mean to me. So thank you so very much. One more time for the mods. You know who you are. Well, you should know who you are. You got wrenches right next to your name. So again, thank you. I appreciate you guys. All right. Thank you. So again, for those of y'all who are here, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to crush that like button, please, as you get in, because we're going to get in that commentary, and we're going to get that color commentary as well. All right. You're going to get the entertainment, and you're going to get the news. All right. So please hit that like button as you start to file in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. Okay. So let's get into this. So they're back. This is from Inner City Press, by the way. Shout out to him. He is a beast. Okay. Giving us live coverage. Okay. So, and of course, I wanted to kind of give it a little bit of time because, it takes time to type these things out and put out more information on a live tweet. All right. So they're back. Okay. Or nearly all of them. Judge says, in terms of objection, Defense says we're still waiting for the defendant. so Diddy wasn't even in the room yet. Judge says, oh, sorry. Combs finally gets in. One exhibit objected to. This is what the judge said. Subject to laying the proper foundation, it is admissible. Okay, so the exhibit, moving down, the exhibit with the added note, the objection is well taken. It is excluded. Let's get the jury back in. So, judge says, all rise. Jury enters. Is the government ready to call its first witness? Ooh, drum roll, please. Prosecution says, first we enter 4 exhibits. Agnifilo says, no objection. Moving on. We call LAPD officer Israel Flores. He is sworn in. Flores says, I'm also a reservist for the Army. Okay, so he's in the Army Reserve. I was a guard with security in 2016 at the Intercontinental Hotel near Century City. Prosecution says, what happened on March 5th, 2016? Flores says, I was told of the 6th floor. I don't know what that means. I was told of the 6th floor. He continues, there I recognize Combs, Diddy. He is there wearing a gray sweater. Oh, so he's pointing him out. Like, I saw Diddy. I saw that man right there, the man wearing the gray sweater. Okay. Prosecution says, what was your title at that time? Flores says, Assistant Director of Security. Prosecution says, let me show you a photo of the Intercontinental Hotel. The witness, Flores, says it's shaped like a pyramid. Judge says, okay, like the exhibit, for example, the photo, he says it has been admitted. Okay. Now we got to wait, which is very frustrating, of course. Still waiting on more of the question, but of course they're trying to establish the location, making sure that the location is the actual space in which the actual fight and that video was seen. So they're coming out guns hot. They're coming out already saying, "Let me show you how corrupt and how much he was trying to get people to know." To have control over people and to shut down any type of stuff that could be, incriminating to Diddy. Okay, because of course this is the infamous video where Cassie, is getting attacked by Diddy, and this security guard, if my assumptions are correct, is going to be telling a story of where he was basically paid off, or he saw someone get paid off to get rid of the evidence. And of course, maybe we'll find out who's actually the one that leaked the footage to CNN. It might be this guy. It might be Flores. I don't know. But we are still waiting. Still waiting. But here's something. I do want to point this out. I want to share this with y'all. This is something about the, when it comes to these allegations and this lawsuit, right? Or this whole case, right? What people think Diddy could walk away from, and what people think Diddy might see a hard time convincing the jury otherwise, right? Because obviously he's being looked at for trafficking, racketeering, etc. There's a lot that he's getting hit with. What is the easier? What is like the ground balls that they can easily swipe out of the way? And what are the harder things that he's going to have a hard time trying to prove that he's innocent on, right? And my assumption is the STing, I think, is going to be very easy for him to be found guilty on. It's the racketeering, the enterprise, those things, those parts I think is going to be very tough. The the S trafficking thing, I think is going to be the hardest thing for him, or is going to be the easiest thing for him to be found guilty of. That's what I think. But I want you guys to hear it from this man's mouth as well.
Particularly a case being brought by the Department of Justice that a witness right before the start of trial just vanishes or goes underground. Never seen it. They've usually gotten them buttoned up. They've gotten them either in witness protection or they're with agents. I've never ever seen a controversy like this, and it could be significant. But I'll tell you something: this judge isn't going to delay a trial because they can't find their witness. This judge is going to say, finish what you've got, and if you don't have this witness, rest. And those counts that may relate to this witness may go right out the window. Now,
remember, they still don't have victim number 3. That's prosecution. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Okay. It's going to be interesting to see what prosecution does, because again, they're not the ones who mentioned victim number 3. From what we understand, defense is the only one that mentioned victim number 3, which is allegedly Gina. She might be that surprise witness that just comes out of nowhere and speaks on his behalf, basically saying everything that's being said right now is a witch hunt. They're just trying to go after his money. That's all they were trying to do, so on and so forth, right? So this is going to be very interesting nonetheless. Yeah, he's a mouth breather for sure.
You want to hear something interesting, Brian? So we put a poll up there about who you think won opening statements today. 78% say the prosecution won opening statements today. 22% say the defense. Now, again, we weren't in that courtroom. This is based on the reporting. But it goes to this idea: if you are the Southern District of New York and you are prosecuting a case against Sean Combs, you better have the goods. And maybe it seems that they feel they have the goods of all these alleged crimes, and they have a way of trying to tie it together. Who the witnesses are going to be: sex workers, employees, alleged victims. They are the ones who are going to tell this story, as well as any documentary evidence as well. But I find that interesting.
It's interesting that it's not closer, it's tough to gauge by the polls because who's in the courtroom, who's not, who's listening. But we've been talking about how wonderful, and I've been talking about how wonderful the defense team is in this case. You've got a who's who of some really great lawyers. Well, make no mistake about it, the people prosecuting this case are very, very good. You've got a career prosecutor who opened today, who's tried numerous racketeering cases in the past. So I'm not as surprised as one may think, particularly given what I would call an avalanche of bad activity. I mean, if you're just listening to it and listening to the behavior, it's pretty horrific behavior. Whether it becomes a case where they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt all these charges that you've enumerated, Jess, that I don't know. That I don't know.
We have a question from Gail Laurent. Will there be evidence that will not be accepted by the jury? Let's talk about how they found the tapes or all the leaks. So it's an interesting question, right? When you say not accepted by the jury, meaning they don't believe it.
One second, guys.
Use it in their determination, or it's not going to be brought into evidence. I'm not exactly sure. I will tell you, Brian, leading up to this trial, and I did a bunch of sidebars on it, there was multiple attempts by the defense to say a lot of this evidence shouldn't come in because the warrants that were used to obtain this evidence were ineffective. They were invalid. That the magistrate judge wasn't provided a complete picture of the situation. That if the judge had gotten all the evidence, what they say, of the text messages and the communications, they would have seen a consensual relationship. It didn't work. This is going forward. And it does become a question of, it's an 8-week trial. How much is the prosecution going to put forward, and how much is the jury going to see, and how much are they going to accept?
Well, they're going to see it all. To your point, the defense tried very hard to exclude a lot of this evidence. Now that the court has ruled, the judge has ruled, this jury must accept it. Now, whether or not they think it's enough to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, I don't know. But they've got to accept all of the evidence that is going to be introduced in this case. They don't have the luxury of saying, well, we think it was a bad warrant. We don't think the government had the right to seize it. Those decisions have been made. This jury will be instructed that they're supposed to accept this evidence and give it whatever weight they deem, appropriate. But they're going to get it and they're going to see it. And this isn't going to be one of those cases, Jess, where I anticipate that you're going to get a light version of the prosecution. I think they're going to throw everything they've got at him. With the worry that because of his celebrity and because of his status and because of those little things, they don't want to leave anything outside the courtroom. They're gonna put it all up there and ask this jury to consider every single piece of it.
They have to. If they're trying to say what separates this as a domestic violence situation or a relationship versus a federal crime, it has to be Combs directing them, forcing them, threatening them, using violence in order to rise to the level of sex trafficking. If they're going to say racketeering, and I have to tell you, I thought it was very interesting, Kenny Garagos. So in racketeering, everybody knows that you need to prove 2 underlying crimes, right, to get to the racketeering conspiracy: kidnapping, arson, forced labor. She went through each one of them and said why it's not that, why it's not kidnapping, why it's not sex trafficking, why it's not forced labor. And she went through them. And obviously that'll be something that moves forward, but they're trying to dismantle the prosecution's case. Got a question here from Miss Can't Be Wrong.
Now here's the thing, real quick, before we continue, because obviously I'm trying to give the live updates a little bit of grace so that we could just do a little bit of some catching up, because right when we get an update, it feels like it takes a few minutes to get another update. Right, especially when there's dialogue going back and forth, especially with this cross examine, these testimonies and all that. But here's the thing, okay? He's not wrong with that, which is the defense was sitting there trying to say, hey, here are some breakdowns of why this is not STing, this is not racketeering, this is not what they're trying to make it seem like, holding people against their will. All of the people that were involved in this thing were all consensual, especially the people that he paid for. But what's interesting is that he paid for these particular people to be there. And if they were moving across state lines, that's STing. If he used some sort of the Hulkamania or the Cowboys for Angels or whatever the hell these things are called, right? If you use specific types of websites like those to bring certain people to come in and to perform for him, and they moved somewhere else for that, they moved from, say, Jersey or Massachusetts, wherever, Connecticut, Ohio, to be a part of these kind of freak off parties, that is still moving people around. It's still moving people around. Maybe it's not racketeering. Maybe the racketeering charges are going to be very hard to show. But as far as him moving people around, even his defense team is admitting that he solicited workers through a website, through agencies, for lack of a better term. Like I said, Cowboys for Angels just sounds messed up. I feel like that's something for part of some sort of Make-A-Wish program. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like the kid's last wish is to just be a cowboy. You know what I mean? Like that, it just seems weird. But Cowboys for Angels is an agency for this kind of stuff. That's weird to me. But that's neither here nor there. Okay? Regardless, I feel like it's going to be very hard for them to disprove to the jury that moving workers around did not happen. That is the thing I feel like he is going to be found guilty on without a shadow of a doubt. When it comes to the racketeering stuff, those charges, that's going to be a little bit harder to say. As far as him putting his hands on these women, that's true. These victims, that's true. He is not on trial for that. That is very true. He's a monster for those things. But if he's a monster of putting his paws on the victims, there's still a good possibility that he coerced these women. If he put his paws on them and was violent, viciously violent, not just because he went into a jealous rage, but because they weren't doing what he wanted them to do, then there's still a possibility of him putting his paws on them to coerce and to force them to do something and perform. Now, as far as the abduction part, holding somebody against their will type thing, that is something that's going to be very interesting for them to kind of discuss and talk about and show proof of that. Because you got to remember, these are all women that he was in relationships with. But I'm not sitting here saying that, holding somebody against their will was not possible or is not possible. Even if you are in a relationship with that person, it's still possible. But like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see how they prove those pieces. The STing, though, good God, man. He did that. That's without question. The defense even says it themselves, y'all. You mean to tell me that he only took local cowboys for angels? People? Performers? I'm telling you, no. Telling you, he probably moved these people around. Oh, yeah, I really do love Jack Niehoff. Can you get me Jack Niehoff again? Because Jack was fantastic. Mr. Niehoff, he was fantastic. Can we get him again? But this time, we ain't going to be in New York. We're going to be in Miami. But I need Jack Niehoff right now. Okay, we got a freak off going on down here in Miami. Star Island is about to be lit. We're going to have a great time. We got people coming in. I just need Jack Niehoff to come through, right? Yes, sir. We'll bring him in, blah, blah, blah. That's still possible. I'm sure he had favorites. He clearly went to two agencies, right? He went to two completely different agencies. Clearly, he had his staple agencies that he liked. So there's still a possibility about that. But anyway, I digress. Let us continue. I want to hear what this lawyer's got to say.
Phenomenal name, for the record. Just can't be wrong. Phenomenal name. The confidence there.
What, Jack Niehoff? Yeah, that was pretty brilliant on my part. Moving on.
I can't even match that. All right. This is for all the lawyers here. If Cassie settled her lawsuit against Diddy, took his money, how is it she can now testify against him? I'm curious, right? Because Cassie did file a lawsuit against Sean Combs in November 2023, settled with him the day after, and then we know there was just an avalanche of lawsuits against him and then ultimately the criminal charges. Fair question, right, Brian?
Really fair question. And this is from Mr. I'm usually wrong. The answer to the question, though, is if there's a criminal prosecution, all of that stuff doesn't matter at all. They can subpoena you. They can require you to testify. Obviously, it wouldn't be admissible in any kind of a civil context or a lawsuit. But in a criminal context, all those deals and agreements, they're right out the window.
But she could be cross-examined on it for sure.
Oh, sure. And, her motivations will be tested. The fact that she might have been extorting him or shaking him down. All that's absolutely fair game. And I would expect to be a lot of the cross-examination in this case. I mean, this wasn't somebody who was slave labor. One of the problems I've always had with the theory of this prosecution was there are no juveniles involved. There's not an allegation of real human trafficking as we understand it to be. These are escorts or girlfriends or significant others that are going along for the ride. And it's in some ways a very luxurious ride. And so I think you're going to see a lot of fair cross-examination on just how motivated they were by the dollar. And he had a lot of them.
You heard that, right? So again, it's going to be very interesting how prosecution dresses this up for the jury. And then, of course, you got to remember, it's not me off, it's knee off. Just so you know, Jack knee off. Just so you know, okay, with an N, not an M. But anyway, I just want to make this abundantly clear. It's going to be very, very hard for prosecution to definitely, especially when it comes to the STing. I honestly think it's going to be very easy. Sorry, let me repeat that. I think it's going to be very, very easy for prosecution to prove the moving around of people, of these S workers. I think that's going to be the very easiest part. It's the racketeering. It's the enterprise. It's all the other allegations that are out here that I think are going to be very tough for them to prove that he is guilty of doing those things. I agree with what he's saying here too. Okay. Where he says, you know, there's no conversation of littles. There's no conversation of that. Prosecution is not even bringing that conversation up at all within this situation, and all that. And I understand that part. There's no conversation of littles being involved in this trial. At least there's been a lot of lies, not lies, but at least a lot of rumor out here in these streets. But it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to prove outside of the moving of people. Okay. I'm just going to be real. That's going to be the thing. That's going to be very tough. Cindy, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the love. Longtime listener, first time responder. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for saying it's a great podcast. I appreciate that so much. The Truth, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. I appreciate it. The TMZ article said the prosecution said he made S workers, do that in her mouth. Yep. Yeah, we read that out loud. That was a very, very big deal, and that's insane. Okay, and that's disgusting, and I can't believe that that's even a real thing. But let's continue here.
Well, I'll tell you, it was brought up today in the opening statements. I don't remember if it was the prosecution and the defense, but they brought up that she filed a public lawsuit in 2023. They're not shying away from that. That's coming in. That people are going to know about that. And by the way, it's interesting. I did a sidebar today. It's coming out later on the Alexander brothers. So these are another high-profile sex trafficking case at the federal level. And I was interviewing an attorney about it. I said, it's interesting how this is being prosecuted similar to Combs, because our classic understanding of sex trafficking is you have this shadowy organization that kidnaps people from a foreign country, ships them out, sells them to people. That's what you think about when you think of sex trafficking. The attorney, but they said, that might be an easier case for a jury to understand and digest, but it doesn't necessarily mean that what Combs is accused of doing and what the brothers are accused of doing is not sex trafficking. If it makes those elements and you have interstate transportation, commercial sex acts, force, fraud, coercion, you can ultimately get a prosecution here. Okay.
See, exactly. I have to say that. I wanted you guys to hear that, because again, just because it's not moving littles around and all that does not mean that he's not involved in some sort of STing type of movement. He still moved people around in these streets. Let's not forget that. These people were paid. Yes, they agreed to move they agreed to move from one place to another across state lines or across the ocean to see or be a part of these freak-offs. But nonetheless, that, I think, is going to be the hardest thing for him to prove to the jury, that he had nothing to do with that. Technically, if these allegations and what the prosecution has found, if they have it to be true, okay, he's going to have a hard time proving that he's innocent of not doing that. Like I said, I'm sure he had these places on speed dial. He had these specific agencies on speed dial and whatnot. And I think, it's going to be very tough for him to show that he's innocent of doing something when there's a lot of people that are stepping forward and saying, he brought in a lot. I know that the show is blurry. Hopefully the internet will get back up and running. But if you guys can still hear me, you guys can still see what's for the most part going on. It looks like it's correcting itself. So just give it a second. It'll get itself back to normal. Also, and thanks S-Dubs, I appreciate it. Also, please, just do me a favor. If you are blurry, just refresh the page really quick, because right now my internet just went back to normal. So we should be good to go. Okay. Yeah, you guys should be good to go by now. All right. So yes, thank you, Aaron. Aaron, thank you so much. All right. They refreshed and it helped. Okay. So let's get into this. Okay. Because I was waiting for a little bit of the questions to come out. Okay. So we already knew about the exhibit. They brought in the LAPD officer. Okay. Israel Flores. Flores was one of the security officers there, or security guards at the infamous hotel that Cassie and Diddy were caught on film getting into fisticuffs with each other, or actually not with each other, actually Diddy attacking Cassie. We saw that video. Everyone saw that video. And apparently he was the security guard on that day, on that disturbing moment. Okay. So he says, so prosecution said, what happened on March 5th, 2016? Flores, the security officer at that time, he says, I was told of the second floor. I don't know. I was told of the second floor. I don't know what that means. There, I recognized Diddy, Sean Combs. He is there wearing the gray sweater. Okay. So he's pointing him out. Prosecution says, what was your title? Flores says, Assistant Director of Security. Then prosecution says, let me show you a photo of the hotel. Then, of course, he says, yeah, it's shaped like a pyramid. Judge says, okay, admitted. Like, he recognizes the hotel. He's like, yep, that is the actual hotel that I was working out of. It looks like a pyramid. Moving on. Prosecution says, what kind of incidents do you respond to? Flores, the security guard, says all kinds. We had a couple of self-deletions there, which is unfortunate. We'd prepare incident reports, the 5 W's. So I don't know what the 5 W's like. Who, what, when, where, and why, I guess, right? Who, what, when, where, and why? Who, what, when, where, and why, right? So moving on. Prosecution says, would you attach photos to the reports? Flores says yes, but not video. We do not have the password. Prosecution says, when did this incident take place? Early in the morning. Damn, that's crazy. So Flores says, security guard says, 11 a.m. I got report of a woman in distress on the 6th floor. I closed the security base and checked the cameras. There was an African-American man pacing back and forth. I didn't see a female. I rushed there. Prosecution, what do you see on the 6th floor? Flores says, Mr. Combs in a towel and some like colored socks. He's a rapper, producer, and Cassie's on the floor. Prosecution says, let me show you photos. So Combs is in a tuxedo, and then there's a separate photo of Cassie smiling. So, like, it's, clearly she's going, okay, would it be these guys? You know what I mean? So then what did you tell them? Flores says that is, they were arguing. They'd have to get back to their room, and these and the broken vase would be charged to the room. Cassie said she wanted her phone and her bag. Okay, her phone and her bag. Because remember, the prosecution or the defense said that the fight was initially over a phone, right? That he was grabbing the phone. He wanted his phone back. He was grabbing the phone as if it was his, right? And it was all over this phone because he was text messaging some other woman that made Cassie mad. Hence the reason why the fight that the fight ensued outside of the hotel room, right? Remember that. He says Cassie said that she wanted her phone and her bag. He took her stuff. He didn't take his phone away from her. He took her phone. Why? Because maybe she had some stuff on her phone that he did not want people to see. Maybe he was sitting there going, I'm going to turn the tables on you. Instead of you blackmailing me all the damn time, I'm going to turn this ish on you. I'm going to ruin your life. Look what you made me do, right? Possibly. Miss Cassie said she wanted to leave. Mr. Combs said, you're not leaving. I saw inside the room a male, black, wearing dark clothing. What did Mr. Combs do after Cassie left? He called me. He was holding a stack of money, not to tell anyone. First off, can we just roll back really quick? Hold up, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute. We got so many dun-dun-does. Get ready for it. Just so you know, that was a warm-up, that dun-dun-dun, because I'm about to hit it a whole bunch. First off, because we got a lot There's a lot in here. And of course, you got to remember, this is only coming from prosecution side. And of course, there will be questions about, I'm sure, questions that are going to be delivered from the defense to this particular security guard. Let's hear it one more time. Not the whole doggone thing, just the part where they were pacing back. He was pacing back and forth. He didn't see the female. So he saw it in the video. Then he rushed there. What did you see on the 6th floor? He was in a towel and he had some socks on. He had freaking grippy socks, I'm sure. But anyway, so he has the grippy socks. You know what I'm saying? Grippy socks. Anyway, he's a rapper producer. She shows a photo of the two, Diddy and Cassie, respectfully. So the prosecutor says, "What did you tell him?" That is that they were arguing. If they were arguing, please go back to your rooms. The broken vase will be charged to your room. Cassie said she wanted her phone and bag. So, first, First off, he says, defense says, the fight in the video, or the infamous video, and the fact that he was grabbing for a phone, it was him trying to get his phone back. That's what they claim. But if Israel Flores is telling the truth, Cassie wanted her phone and her bag back. Remember, I can't play the video because it's graphic as full, but you can't unsee it. Like, I have it burned in my brain. He was grabbing all of her stuff. He was grabbing her phone and her bag. Or actually, let me say that again. He was grabbing her bag and her phone. But defense just came out with their opening statement saying that it was his phone that he was trying to retrieve back from her. If it was his phone that he was trying to retrieve back from her, then why would Cassie even say remotely these words, that she wanted her phone back and her bag? He was grabbing her stuff because he didn't want her to leave, because some stuff was going down and she wasn't down for it. Defense already messed up. If this is true, let's move on. So then they say, Flores says, the security guard says, Miss Cassie said she wanted to leave. Mr. Combs said, you're not leaving. I saw inside the room, here's the other a male, black, wearing dark clothing. So you mean to tell me she was running away because she saw his text messages that he was having with some girl, and she got all up in her fifis and left because she saw him having conversations with another girl, possibly Gina? That's what they said in the opening statements. Possibly Gina. And that's what got her mad. And that's why she was speed walking down the hallway before she gets viciously attacked by Diddy. But there's a guy in all black chilling in the room as well. Also on top of that, you got homeboy, Diddy I'm talking about, in nothing but a towel loosely wrapped around his waist and wearing grippy socks. You tell me. Y'all, you tell me, man. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. And this is from one of the security officers. Stop it. So, homeboy walks out with socks on, nothing but socks on, and a towel wrapped around his waist. He's saying it's a fight over a conversation or that he was having with another girl because he was trying to slide in some other girl's DMs. But there was a dude in there in all black chilling. And God only knows, he could have been wearing a balaclava. Okay? Full head to toe, nothing but his wiener out. I'm just being real. I'll do this, but I don't want my face on any of these videos. You feel me? Come on now. I'm just being real. Think about it. Why was the dude in all black? Or wearing dark clothing, I mean. Black guy, dark clothing, chilling in the room. Diddy wasn't trying to get something going? Why would he be running around, running after her wrapped with a towel wrapped around his waist? Come on, guys. Let's do the math. Do the math, baby. That's weird. Who's walking around in nothing but their towel and grippy socks, having an argument with your girl with another dude in the room? Now, it could be a bodyguard. Sure, it could be a bodyguard. But why wasn't that bodyguard running out and stopping them from fighting outside the doggone hotel room? Think about that. Isn't a bodyguard there to protect Diddy's body? Think about it, y'all. Think about it. They're about to do the hibbity dibbity. They're about to do something zesty as hell. Okay? I said it. I don't give a damn. Okay? Diddy got a lot of explaining to do. Tired as a mother. Thank you so much. What up? How you doing? Hope you're well. It's been a while since I caught a live. Well, thank you so much for coming through. Miss you too. Appreciate it. Thanks for covering this. Of course. It's this is the trial of the decade, y'all. Okay, because you know for a fact there's going to be another one in another 5 years. Something else crazy going to be going down. Somebody else going to be running around in their wrapped with a towel wrapped around their waist and wearing grippy socks too. Give it time. Give it some time. Okay, but moving on. Dude was in the room wearing dark clothing. Why? Don't know. Okay, don't know. That's weird. So he called him. He was holding a stack of money, not to tell anyone. This is what Diddy was telling Flores. So prosecution said, "What did you say?" Flores says, "I said, I don't want your money. The damage is going to be charged to your room." How heroic. Interesting. Prosecution says, "Where did Cassie go?" He says, "After I spoke with her, she left. A car pulled up. She left in a black SUV." Prosecution says, "Was there a driver?" Was there a driver? 7 feet. I don't know what 7 feet means. Okay. Flores continues. He said, "She wants to leave." I said, "I'm talking to her, not you." They left. Then what? Huh. He said, "She wants to leave." I said, I'm talking to her, not you. Then they left. Then what? What? He says, "We went up to Combs' room to remind him of the hotel rules. I'm sorry. He opens the door and grabs the phone and says, "Are you recording me?" I pinned him to the wall. Whoa. Say what? I took photos of the broken vase to tell them to clean it up. I went to write this incident report. Prosecution says, "Is this it?" I'm assuming they're showing the actual incident report that's been reported. He says, that's my report with my name on it. Then the defense says, "Same objection." Judge says, "Noted." Prosecution says, "Then did you review the video?" Flores, the security guard guy, says, "Yes, I did, mother lover." So while he's still writing, I do have some questions because I don't know what the hell 7 feet means. Okay? I don't know what 7 feet means. So he goes, "Was there a driver?" 7 feet. I don't know what 7 feet means. Maybe that's a huge ass typo. I don't know. But then he said she wants to leave. I said, I'm talking to her, not you. I'm assuming they kind of resorted back to the incident that happened up on the 6th floor, and they're just kind of reviewing the whole thing all over again. Maybe that's what's going on here. Okay. But nonetheless, He said she wants to leave, understandably. So he's like, all right, girl, you want to leave? Let's go. Let's get you out of here. And I guess Diddy was like trying to be the mediator or trying to be her translator or something. And he's like, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to her. Because you put your paws on her and I saw the video, right? Yeah, that's what I'm wondering about too. Maybe 7 feet, maybe his name. Maybe it is his name. Maybe 7 feet, but that's weird. Hey, 7 feet. Come pick up my girl, man. That's weird. Ain't never met anybody named 7 feet, but there have been wilder things. There are girls out here named Cinnamon. You know what I mean? Aurora. So no disrespect to Auroras or Cinnamons. I'm just saying there's just wild names out there. Okay. So maybe he is just 7 feet tall. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, L. Maybe that's what it is. Okay. But moving on, let's see if there's anything new. But that's some very interesting stuff, y'all. So then did you review the video? And then he says yes. So again, Diddy was holding a stack of money saying, here's $100,000. I will give you money. Don't say nothing, right? This is after Diddy left or after Cassie left. And I cannot emphasize enough that he says that he saw inside the room and that there was a male, black male, wearing dark clothing. This guy in all black didn't just miraculously show up out of nowhere. He was there. Now, here's the other thing too. Some people might be like, "Nah, man, that was probably one of his boys, like one of his producer boys making music in the space with him or something like that." Well, if that's the case, don't you think that they would say something by now? Wouldn't they ask that question like, "Who is the black male?" In fact, I hope somebody asks, "Who is the black male in the room?" Do you know who that was? Did he ever introduce himself? Or was he just standing in the corner doing nothing? Was he wearing weird, like black pleather straps? When you say dark clothing, is that what you mean? Was it some weird BDSM type stuff going on? Somebody screaming out pineapples? I'm curious. Hopefully you get an answer here soon. So they reviewed the video. I'm handing you a thumb drive with videos. So this is what happens. Prosecution puts out the video, shows the video. Then prosecution says, did it have audio? Flores says no. Prosecution, let's walk through it. Who is this? So clearly it's Cassie. And this, clearly it's Mr. Combs. Diddy. What's happening here, she asks. Flores says she picked up the wall phone. And then what happened, baby? She picked up the wall phone and then what, Mang? Let's see what happens here. Prosecutor's first witness, Officer Israel Flores of the Los Angeles the police department, has been testifying since court resumed after lunch. He is a former security guard who was alerted to the attack on Cassie, between Diddy and Cassie, in that infamous hotel. The attack is an important event in the prosecution's STing case against Combs. Okay. He said he saw Cassie, who he recalled had a purple eye, leave the hotel in a black SUV. This is information we didn't get from the inner city, but inner city's still crushing it, just so you know. A purple eye, bruising on her face, leave the hotel in a black SUV. Then he and the hotel's front desk manager went up to Diddy's room to remind him of the hotel rules. Flores said Diddy grew upset and grabbed the desk manager's phone when he thought the manager was recording him. Flores testified that after Diddy grabbed the phone, he pinned Diddy to a wall. Like I said, Diddy kind of a butthole. He's kind of one of those like spoiled little brats. You know what I'm saying? That's the vibe I'm getting right now. It's like, well, we kind of already know that, though. If you think about it, every time he's like screaming and going, everything I want, I get kind of thing. He's clearly like that rich kid, spoiled brat mentality, right? If he doesn't get what he wants, he throws a huge tantrum and loses his doggone mind. That's what it seems like. And the fact that we're hearing now over here that she had a purple eye, it's because he put his paws on her, man. And we saw it. We all saw it. They saw it in real time. They saw it in real time, y'all. They saw it in real time. Yeah. Thank you, Joy. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Joy. You know what I mean? Just a butthole. I would use other words, but I can't. You know what I mean? I try to keep it somewhat clean. I try to keep it somewhat PG-13 on this channel, okay? Because there's kids out here. You know, even now, you got kids walking up to their parents right now that are going, "Mommy, what's a butthole?" And you have to now explain what a butthole is. I'm sorry. You know, just blame it on me. But moving on, the truth. Thank you so much for the love. I'm convinced Diddy hated Cassie. The only reason why he forced her to get with these S workers is so that he could watch the men. What is this random dude doing in the room? That's what I'd like to know as well. Like I said, the dude in all black. And no, this was not the men in black. Okay, not that. Because she remembers everything. You know, that device that makes you go, you know, forget things. No, that definitely was not Will Smith. Well, no. Definitely not Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones in there. Okay. Real talk. So this is some wild stuff. Where's my mouse? There it is. Come on, man. Do we have any? Golly gee, come on. We ain't got nothing. Still waiting. This is what I hate. I mean, I love his coverage. He's doing a fantastic job. Real talk. Shout out to Inner City Press. I'm going to keep saying that till I'm blue in the face, but still fantastic coverage. I just wish it was a little bit faster sometimes. But let's see what they got to say. There's a new update. The jury is now seeing hotel surveillance footage of Diddy wearing a towel as he attacks Cassie. Okay. This is a clip of the video published by CNN last year, but it is noticeably slowed down. Diddy's lawyers had argued that the published clips were sped up, making the attack look more violent. I'm sorry, putting a foot on somebody's face, dragging somebody, putting a fist on somebody, any of those things, it doesn't matter how fast or slow it is. It's still violent. You're still putting your paws on somebody. So miss me with the nonsense. Miss me with the nonsense, okay? Because that's some BS. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Shut up. But okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's see. Maybe there's something new. Maybe there is something new. We'll see. Oh, come on. Let's see what Long Crime is doing now. Nope.
That, you know, you don't.
So this video right here itself, while we wait for more updates, because it's coming. While we wait for more updates, you have got to be kidding me that you're sitting there going, well, the attack was sped up. It doesn't matter. She still was attacked viciously. And again, he comes running around. Like I said, look, towel wrapped around his waist, wearing socks, gargoyles. Okay. All right. Got the socks on and attacking her. And then he's sitting there going, the defense is trying to make it seem like she was trying to run away with his phone. I'm telling you right now, ladies and germs, because I've heard stories like this before when like you catch your man or your woman cheating, you just take the phone and you just run off with the phone. I'm telling you right now, that's dumb. You're wasting your time. Don't do that. Because at the end of the day, if you found out that they're cheating, then you found out that they're cheating. Usually you're just like, all right, F you, I'm out. You don't need any more information. Like, I understand some people want to go, how many times? How many times? You know what I mean? Why do you need to know how many times? Once is enough, baby. Once is enough. Okay? Once is enough. You don't need any more. So again, it's like, when did it start? That's all I want to know. When did it start? It happened then? Started then? Okay, cool. Enjoy yourself. Bye-bye. Deuces. I'm out. I'm not taking the phone. I'm not trying to hold it like it's mine because it's not mine. You had my heart. You had my heart. That's the only thing that you had. And I want that back. You know what I mean? And that's it. And you move on. You move on. You put on your, you do your revenge stuff, whatever it is. Hopefully it's healthy. 99% of the time it's not. But you do your own version of retaliation and you move on. You don't run off with the doggone phone. So in my personal opinion, she's not running off with his phone. She's running away from him. This is a dangerous man. He is so dangerous that he believes he can control her wearing nothing but socks and a towel loosely wrapped around his waist. You see what I'm saying? So again, she's trying to get away because she's tired. You got a dude in all black another dude in all black, according to this security guard, that's chilling in the room for what reason? To be a part of something? Most likely to be a part of something. And maybe Diddy's like, maybe Cassie's like, yo, we just did a freak off last night. I've barely slept. I've been asleep for maybe an hour at best. You want to do more? And he's like, just one more. We ain't done yet. Just one more, baby. I already popped two of these blue pills. You know what I'm saying? I'm already feeling it. Come on, babe. She's like, no, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm out. And she runs. Dude thinks he has that much power over her that he could be in there basically buck naked in grippy socks. It's just ridiculous, y'all. Just ridiculous. But let me play a little bit of this real quick so I can take a sip of this water.
Don't have to think, well, wow, he did this, he did that. Maybe he's not the great guy we think he is. Well, this is a bad guy. I mean, this video paints him as a bad guy. And when you're in the defense camp like I am and you're defending a case, it stinks to start with, I got a bad guy sitting next to me, because if he's a bad guy, maybe he's capable of everything the prosecution says he is. Having said that, I think the defense is going to work really, really hard to call this what it is. It's bad conduct. It's a criminal charge in state court. We're in federal court. They've made a federal case out of a guy who's committed state court assault.
Yeah. Violence, not sex trafficking. Two separate things. Yep. That's what they're going to be argument is. We've got a question, a super chat question from G Disney. Thank you so much for your contribution, G Disney. Really appreciate it. What reforms, industry-wide or legislative, should be proposed to prevent replication of similar abuse by other powerful figures? It's an interesting question. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I don't think there's going to be any legislation, but, guilty verdicts will have that effect. And, if at the end of this trial, there's a guilty verdict, and we discussed another pending case that's going on now with some rather wealthy folks, it tends to send messages. It tends to clean up bad behavior. A guilty verdict in this case, I think, would go a long way toward that. Whether there's ever going to be legislation on this, I mean, what legislation could you impose? You either make conduct criminal or you don't. Could you add different crimes to the crime code? I suppose you could, but the government would tell you, we've already got the crimes on the books, and that's why we prosecuted them for it.
One of the questions I keep getting.
I'm telling you right now, if Diddy is found guilty of these things, even if it's just STing, yeah, there's going to be more people getting hit. That's a guarantee, guys. He's going to be hit with a lot of other people. There's going to be other people involved. That's why I truly believe Diddy is in a serious whirlwind of problems right now, a whirlwind of problems. And I think he's going to be found guilty at least on one of these charges, one of them. That's my prediction, at least one so far. Now, the prosecution has a journey ahead of them. They got 8 weeks to show whether or not these other crimes that they're claiming are actually true. But as far as the moving of S workers, that is real. That's what I truly believe. I think he's going to be found guilty of that. Okay. What? I'm going to look that up. I don't know if let me see if that's actually true. Oh my God. If that's true, that's wild. But I think there is an update on, there's one small update that I saw just a second ago. So I'm going to play that before we come back to this as well. But again, like I said, Diddy was still, 2 updates. Cool. Diddy was still very much violent with the security guard, guys. When the security guard was going up there and going, everybody needs to chill out. The vase, we're going to charge it to the room. Sir, I need you to go back. Y'all need to go back to your rooms. I'm going to take care of her and get her out of here. Y'all, if you're going to fight and argue, you argue inside that hotel room, not out here. She allegedly had a purple eye. He escorts her to a SUV. She drives away. He goes back upstairs with the hotel manager, basically telling him, yo, these are the rules of this place. You get caught putting your hands on somebody, you will be dealt with. Apparently, the general manager of the hotel, or the hotel manager, I'm sorry, had his phone out. I'm thinking he was just taking photos of certain things, right? Showing the damage. Diddy freaks out, grabs his phone, thinking that the hotel manager is taking photos or filming him over this situation. Flores, the security guard, goes and he pins Diddy up against the wall because he shouldn't be snatching other people's phones, right? So snatches him, grabs him and slams him up against the wall, right? That's what happened just a second ago. Now, going back to here, they start showing the video. There's no audio for the video, right? She says, what's happening here? She picked up the wall phone. So I guess she was trying to call security. She ran over to pick up the wall phone. What did you find when you got there? So she called to try to get help. This is not somebody who's running away because he cheated on her. Why would she need to call security if he cheated on her? She was running away because she was scared. Guys, she was running away because she was scared, and he was about to make her perform again in another freak off. Maybe it was a smaller version of a freak off, but she was about to be used again, and she did not want that. So, what did you find when you got there after, after the call? The broken vase, or vase, as some of you guys might say. Moving on. So prosecution says, what is at the end of this video? Flores says, me coming out of the elevator. Flores says, let's pull up the incident report again. Flores says, here, we reminded him that the checkout time was approaching. So in other words, they wanted him the F out of there because of him acting a fool and how he put his hands on the manager of the hotel and all that. Shoot, we don't need a hostile guest. Get the hell out of here. You got plenty of money. You could go to any other hotel. Go handle that somewhere else. Do not bring this mess and this drama to our hotel, right? Prosecution says, what did you add to the incident report after you reviewed the video? Flores says, I described what I saw in the video. Prosecution says, what else did you do with the video? He says, I recorded 2 videos of it with my iPhone. To show my wife at home. What? Come on, man. So he might be, he definitely the one who leaked this video. He's the one who did it, isn't it? He the one who did it. Oh my damn. He's the one who leaked the video. Oh. So in other words, who got paid $100,000 then? Who got paid $100,000 though? You got to remember, somebody took $100,000 and deleted it and went, oops, it's gone now. unless it was him who got paid. So the incident report, he literally went in, he added more information, he described what he saw in the video, and he put that in the incident report. That incident report is actually being seen on a screen somewhere in the courtroom as the jury's looking at this stuff. Oh my damn. Yeah. Okay. So that's what it is. That's what it is. But I'm still wondering, did he take the 100,000? Did he take the 100,000? Moving on, like I said, they said, what else did you do with the video? I recorded 2 videos of it with my iPhone to show my wife at home. Sure, you did that to show your wife. Wah, 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 wah. Beow. Yeah, sure. Sure. The price is wrong. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, this is getting crazy. You got to be kidding me. Everybody's tripping. Look at this. It's like, oh my God. So oh, snap. True? Is this for real, for reals? Don't do me like that. Yeah, it looks like it's for reals, for reals. Yeah, he said to show my wife at home. Only for his wife? Somebody else said, beautiful bull. beautiful just said, and friends. Yeah. But that's weird though, right? It never surfaced until now. You realize that, right? So I'm wondering why it took so long for it to surface now. You took a photo, you took a video, very incriminating footage that no one's ever seen. And then suddenly now, after he gets arrested, after he gets caught, now it's out there in the internet. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, maybe ran out of money. I mean, $100,000 you can spend pretty damn fast. I know some of y'all like, oh, stop, Pascal. Yeah, you can. Shoot, you buying a house, putting a large down payment on a house, buying cars, shoot, investing that money into something. Okay, maybe his wife wanted to go to esthetician class or something. I don't know. Still $100,000 can go very fast. You can get through that money pretty damn quick. Okay. So I am kind of wondering who actually got the 100,000. 100,000. But I'm wondering how many. I'm wondering. Like I said, I'm wondering. That's crazy. Oh my God. Well, we finally found out the source. So it's not Cassie. Oh. So Flores' video of the video with his voiceover, including about how shiny his shoes were, is played for the jury. Why? How shiny his shoes are? Okay. He's like, yeah, I got shiny shoes on. Look how shiny my shoes are. They be shiny. They be shiny. Oh, keep on watching Diddy beat her up. They be shiny. I got shiny shoes. And they black. I got shiny shoes. That's what. That's so weird. I'm sorry. The description's messing me up. I'm sorry. There's commentary. As you can see, Diddy's running out after his girlfriend Cassie in nothing but a towel and grippy socks. And look at my shoes. Yeah, they are black. Yeah, and they be shiny. And shiny. Like, what is that? What's going on? Moving on. Okay. Did you work the next day? Flores says, no, I had the next 2 days off. He had a vacay. He took that 100,000. He went on. He took a vacay. He's like, I'm calling in sick. I suddenly have $100,000 flu. Yeah, it's real bad. It just keeps stacking up. I gotta go. We going to Vegas. I mean, prosecution. When you came back in, did you look for the video? He says, I did. He didn't get paid. He says, moving on, it says, but it was gone. Prosecution said, did you ever see it again? Flores says, yes, recently. Prosecution says, nothing further. Judge says, cross-examination. Combs, Brian Steele, steps forward and says, you said your report was the 5 W's, right? Flores says, yes. You know, who, what, when, where, and why. 5, okay? 5 W's. So we're going to wait for that. So again, maybe it wasn't. Maybe, but like I said, I want to know who paid him, right? Okay? I want to know who paid him. Or who got paid, right? Because he says, but I came back and the video was gone. It was all gone. I don't know where the video went, sir. It was all gone. I took a screenshot and I left and I came back and it was all gone. Who could have done that, sir? I don't know. And that's what I'd like to know. Who actually did that for real? Who went up, got paid to erase the video? There's got to be footage of that. There's got to be. There's got to be security cam footage of them walking into the room at least and deleting the footage. And it could be Flores, and it may not be Flores. But Flores still had the video. He had the video in his possession to show to his wife. Right. And then it never saw the light of day until just recently. It says, but it was gone. Did you ever see it again? Yes, recently. And then they stop. What's interesting is that they stop right there. Prosecution doesn't say, did you leak that footage? Are you the one who released that footage to CNN? They didn't even ask that. All they said is, did you ever see it again? Yes, I did recently. They don't push any further. Ain't that something? Because you know for a fact the next question I'd be asking, if I was defense, is who did you recently see it because you're the one who released the video to CNN? How much does CNN pay you for the footage? Just curious. Could have been that hotel manager. El just said, could have been another security guard that took the 100K. That could be too. Many of us would have done the same thing. Now, I'm wondering what maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was the hotel manager. Maybe it was that hotel manager that saw everything as well. He's like, listen, you're going to give me that 100,000. I'll make sure that video disappears. But you put your hands on me. I could put this stuff out. So you pay me 100,000 and this will never be seen or heard about ever. That's possible too. I wonder if the manager is going to be coming out and talk as well. Got questions, guys. Got a lot of questions. Let's go. Let's see. But that's crazy. Steele says, this is defense, by the way. Defense says, you mentioned that when you get off the elevator, 11:14 or 11:15, you describe Diddy as having a devilish expression on his face. Flores says, that's my opinion. Defense says, when you get off the elevator, what is in your hand? He says, my radio. So yeah, because he's going upstairs and you never know, he might need backup. So I can understand him holding his radio with him just to make sure that he's not going to, you know, like he might be walking in on a crazed lunatic. You don't know. But we'll see what happens here. All right. I'm gonna give it a couple seconds to cook. Let's see what they got here. Okay. They got a couple things. So we already talked about this, but now they have this here. And I'm telling you right now, I mean, just looking at the stills themselves, clearly something's not right. This is not a woman who's running away because she's just been cheated on. Like, oh God, I hate you. And she's just running, sad. No, she's running out of fear. But moving on, much of the public will be familiar with the footage of Diddy attacking Cassie in the hotel, but this testimony is introducing us to some new information and images. The jury saw photos of the aftermath of the attack, including a broken vase and dirt splattered on the wall. Yeah, because he threw a vase at the woman, for crying out loud. So Officer Flores, who was then working security at the hotel, testified that he did not call the police because Cassie wasn't answering his questions and insisted that she just wanted to leave. She wanted to keep it hush. She didn't want to get in any more trouble because she knows for a fact the kind of footage and the type of stuff that Diddy has in his possession that could ruin her life. I can see that. Okay. Jury also saw new footage of the aftermath of the attack. It is secondhand footage. Of course, like I said, it's Flores recording the hotel video on his own cell phone. Like I said, my shoes are shiny and they be black. You know what I mean? Don't know why he's talking about his shiny shoes and recording at the same time, but it is what it is. But that's what we have there. Let's see if there's any more updates, baby. Okay, Steele, defense's Diddy's lawyer. All right, Mr. Combs did not attack you, did he? Flores says no. Defense, and was there any law enforcement involvement? Flores says no. Steele says, defense says, you videoed for your wife and kept it, right? He says, I did, but never was law enforcement called. They were not. I mean, there's nothing, here it is. There's nothing, I understand him not, I mean, I still feel like it's weird. Like if you see something, say something, right? But at the same time, I get it. She was like, please don't say anything. Maybe he felt like he shouldn't say anything or ask anything, because if he did ask something, it could have backfired on her. Maybe she was just that terrified. Maybe. But the fact that law enforcement was not called, that is weird. You have an altercation that's going on in a hotel room or in a hotel lobby area. You got a man irate in his birthday suit, practically throwing a vase at a person. There's a huge altercation that happens and law enforcement was never called. What's up with that? That is weird. Like I always say, if you see something, say something. But maybe at that time he's like, well, it's Diddy. He could ruin my life if I didn't say anything. If I did say something, if I called the police, he could find out who I am and he could maybe, you know what I mean? He could sue me. He could sue me beyond being poor. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But still, lots of questions here. Defense said, you told the jury Diddy said to Cassie, you're not leaving. But your report did not say that, right? Flores says, at that point, I did not believe it was a significant fact. I'm not going to put down the back and forth. Interesting. So he didn't write out the back and forth of what's going on between them. And I kind of see where I can see where defense is going. Like I just said a second ago. Oh, you're giving all this information to us after the fact. First off, there was no police report ever written, but now you are saying she was scared for her life and he said you ain't leaving and she wanted to leave really bad, but you never called the police. But still, it does not change the fact that that man was a witness to these two fighting, or Diddy attacking her, Diddy attacking Cassie, Cassie trying to get away from the situation. They got her into a car. She drove off. So whatever Brian Steele is trying to put together, I don't think if this is going to actually like work. Moving on, defense says, so let's real quick. He says, so you told the jury, Diddy said to Cassie, you're not leaving, but your report did not say that, right? Defense says, at that point, I did not believe it was a significant fact. I'm not going to put down the back and forth. Then, moving on, defense says, so it wasn't important 9 years ago, but only now? Prosecution says, objection. Judge says, overruled. Flores says, I did not put it in the report at the time. Defense says, you said you were offered a bribe, but hadn't you told him he had to pay for the vase? Yes, he says, Flores. But hadn't you told him he had to pay for the vase? That has nothing to do with bribing. Bribing is bribing. That has nothing to do. Like, if you break a vase inside a hotel room, they're going to tell you, no matter what, we will be charging you that. Right? So again, I am wondering what more is being said. I'm going back to this to see if there's any updates. Because there is, like, it's interesting because these are kind of like quick summaries of the exchange. Like I said, this is like Cliff Notes, and then this is like the full story. Does that make sense? You got New York Times that's giving us more of a thorough, more robust breakdown for the most part, but they are missing a lot of parts here too. That's the thing too. And then here it's more of like, quick bites. So this is interesting. Yeah, Nicole B is, or no, I thought you meant like these are like sketches, like little bang, 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 little breakdowns. So again, let's see what they got to say. Still waiting. Still waiting on some things. But that's still crazy that, I mean, he was taking her phone. He was taking her purse. Like he was taking all of her belongings. Why? Because he was trying to make her do some things she did not want to do. All right. That is very obvious, in my personal opinion, y'all. Let's see. Still waiting, but I think it's kind of ridiculous that they said, okay, and I get him saying, like, why would you report it? Why would you even talk about it now? Why were you waiting all this time to bring up the conversation now? Why not bring it up then? Right? Like, so it wasn't important, like the back and forth of like, you ain't going nowhere. It wasn't important 9 years ago, but now it is. Why is it suddenly important now? Well, you just got Diddy arrested. These claims all came out just several months ago. So of course you're going to sit there and go, maybe at that time, him sitting there saying you ain't going nowhere, it doesn't come to your head at that point. You don't see it as a red flag. You don't see it as a warning sign. But now that you know the full story, it's like, oh damn, everything comes back in full circle, and a lot of the holes are now getting filled up, right? So that could be it too. The bribe part and the paying for the vase. I mean, if he paid for the vase, he paid for the vase. That's not a bribing thing. But anyway, defense says the gentleman you say you saw in the room. Thank you. Somebody had to talk about it. The gentleman you say you saw in the room, you described to the jurors, described to the jury, things not in your report. So, okay, this is very jumbled up. But the gentleman you say you saw in the room, you described to the jury, but these are things that you did not put in your report. Okay. So Flores says he didn't engage. Defense says, why didn't you ask him his name? Flores says he wasn't talking to no one. Defense says, did you tell anyone at the time? Flores says no. Damn. That's not good. Because again, that could be, I can see in tone 360, I can see how the vase could be bribery, like, you're gonna have to pay for that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna have to charge you for that, buddy. And he's like, oh, okay, here's a stack for the vase, for the damages to the room and all that. How about this? And then, in fact, here's a little bit more money for you. How about that? All right, here's a little bit more money for you. Okay, you good? I took care of the vase problem, right? Now, that could be it. That could very well be it. Or it's just a vase. And they were going to charge it to the room. That's what they said. They're going to charge it to the room. But then the other part is, going back to this, he says, you said you saw a guy in the room. Why are we talking about it now? And it wasn't put into your report. Flores is saying the guy did not engage in anything. He didn't start nothing. He didn't do nothing. Now, again, that could very well be the truth. But I can see what the defense is trying to do right now, which is instill some sort of holes or poke some holes in this man's story. It's like, well, we never saw him in the video. No man peeked out of the room in the security cam footage. He never walked out of the room at all. You just say that this guy, a black male, is wearing dark clothing in the hotel room. That could just be a fabrication. You could just be adding to the narrative to make Diddy look even more like a monster. Reasonable doubt. Credibility. Exactly, Nans. Yep, exactly. So then, excuse me, defense says, and the 7-foot driver. Do you know who it was? Flores says, I don't know. But Cassie knew him. Defense says, you didn't put in your report that you offered to call law enforcement, but she refused. Why not? She said no. So there was no reason to include it. Crazy. There was no reason to include that. Real quick, while we wait for more updates here, this is interesting, guys, but please do me a favor. I see a gang of y'all in here. I really do appreciate everybody all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. But please do me a favor. Okay. Hit that like button down below. Can we get it? Can we get it to like 1.5? Can we get to 1.5K? There's a lot of people in here. Okay. Show some love. Don't forget to do that. Okay. It helps the show. It helps us grow and all that. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe, please. Okay. That would be amazing because we will be covering this quite a bit. Tomorrow, I will say this though. Tomorrow, I am going to be starting a little bit later tomorrow because I have other things going on in the morning. So I will be on a little bit later. So we'll do a recap of what happened in the morning, and then of course go into into everything. Okay, so we will be discussing this tomorrow. We're covering this for sure. Okay, but at the same time, there are a lot of other cases that we are talking about as well. Other situations that are going on in the world that we are talking about. So make sure again that you are hitting that like button down below. Crush it. Do what it do. Of course, do not forget to subscribe. Subscribe. Okay. So tomorrow is a little bit busy, but don't worry. We're going to be in on this like a mug. Okay. So I appreciate everybody and thank you so much for the support and all of that. Let's get back into this. Yeah, we ain't stopping this. So he said, okay, nope. This is the same thing. So we're still waiting. Let's see if there's any updates here. Yes, there's an update. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. A lot of talking. Let's go. So Officer Flores is now under cross-examination by Steele, which we already know, Brian Steele. All right. A relatively new addition to the defense team for Diddy, who gained national prominence by representing the rapper Young Thug, at his racketeering trial in Atlanta. So We already know that he's questioning him. That's it, really? Okay. Okay, so he's, of course, asking Flores about why he didn't include certain details in his 2016 incident report during today's testimony. For example, Flores's observation that Cassie had a quote-unquote purple eye was not in the report. Yeah, that's weird that he would not put in those pieces of information. That is a bit weird. I will say that I think that goes without question, right? You said you put Mr. Combs against the wall. That's aggressive, isn't it? Flores says, it could be, but I only put my forearm against his chest. Defense says, but you didn't put that in your report. Like you didn't put that in your report as well. Flores says, you're asking me to have put more detail in my report. Some people are saying these witnesses are weak. It's only been one so far. Excuse me. I don't think that this is a weak witness. I really don't. I really don't see this being a weak witness at all. All right. But I see the defense is trying to do everything to make this guy look like he has no credibility. That's why he's like, they're sitting there going, well, you didn't put in all the details. Why didn't you put in everything? She had a purple eye. She had markings on her. He was very aggressive. He said, I'll never, you're not leaving. Why didn't you add all those pieces of information then? Why are we hearing about it now? Right? Now that could all be on him. Yes, guys, for being a lazy security guard and not giving full detail of an altercation that he could remember off the top of the dome about something that he witnessed. That can be very bad on his part. That looks really bad, or not great. I wouldn't say it looks bad, but it doesn't look great. But then it also, like I said, pokes holes in his story. Actually, it's not even holes. It's just reasonable doubt. It's like, well, we don't see the inside of that room. So we don't know if there's another guy in all black, a black male in all black in the room. Why wasn't there ever a conversation with the black male wearing all black that was in the room of Diddy's hotel room? Why wasn't there ever a conversation with that person? Asking them, hey, can you just tell me exactly what happened here? You're in the room, your clothes are on. So I'm going to ask you, why did she run out? What happened here? So I can get a full understanding of what's going on. In fact, tell me what happened as I'm looking around the room to make sure that nothing else is jacked up and destroyed in this room as well. I mean, at least that's what I think I would be doing, just to make sure. Hey, what actually happened here? Dude in all black. Why are you here? What's going on? What happened between these two? We need to know what's going on because we don't want this incident to happen again. Is this going to be happening again? Are they going to keep fighting? Because if they're going to keep fighting, we need them out of here. We can't have them here. We really can't have them here. So he said, you're asking me to have put more detail in my report. Defense says, do you remember the layout? Flores says, no, just a corner room. Defense says, was it a normal hotel room like I would stay in? Just one room? Or did it have a living room? Son of a biscuit eater. Flores says, I don't know. So then he says, the third party, you said, he was on a bed. He was on a pullout. So he doesn't remember what the room looks like specifically. All he remembers is that it was a corner room of the hotel. He doesn't remember if there was like a living room spot or if it was like a massive space or not. He doesn't remember any of that. But he remembers the third party. And that third party, that the dude in all black or the black guy wearing dark clothing, he was apparently chilling on a pullout in the hotel room. Defense asks, you were in the hospitality business as well as security, right? Flores says yes. Defense says, Mr. Combs, is it clear to you that he wanted to pay for the damage? Mr. Combs, what? It was clear to you that he wanted to pay for the damage, right? Okay. So I think he's saying, so it was clear to you that Mr. Combs wanted to pay for the damage, right? So, of course, prosecution says objection, calls for speculation, and then judge says ask in a different way. Yeah, that's a good point too, Brown Sugar. That's a good point though too. This guy is a security guard. He's not a cop at that time, right? He's not an investigator. He just knows to write out some information and keep it moving. So it is interesting. Hold on 1 second. Just a quick little break here. This is insane. Tory Lanez was attacked in prison. Okay, I just saw that over here on the corner of my eye. We'll talk about that another time for sure. But that's crazy. All right. Tory Lanez has been attacked in prison, guys. That's not good. That's no bueno. That's no bueno. Asking a different way. So the defense, it could be embarrassing for a guest, and then prosecution says objection. Judge says sustained. Defense says 1 moment, nothing further. Judge says redirect. So prosecution comes back, says, do you typically include every single detail in a report? Flores says no. Did he seem drunk or high? Flores says no. It's interesting because you see, it's like, oh, no. He was willing to pay for the damage, right? Is it clear to you that he wanted to pay for the damage? Did he offer to do that? See, Diddy's a nice guy. He was willing to pay you off, right? No? You sure about that? Very interesting. From my understanding, I just saw it in the corner of my eye. So about Tory Lanez. Let's see. Tory Lanez has been rushed by an ambulance to a nearby civilian hospital in Bakersfield. Sorry. Let's see. It doesn't say. I'm still looking to see if there's anything about. They say his injuries are non-life-threatening, so that's good news. That's some good news. So he's alive. He's alive, y'all. He's alive, but yes, he has been attacked for sure. Interesting. He's still alive, guys. All right. So let's see what else is here. So far, nothing yet. Let me see what's here. Okay, so Ishmael? You mean Israel? I think it's Israel. That's how it's been this entire time, right? But anyway, Flores, the hotel security guard who responded, okay, blah, 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 is finishing his testimony after a cross-examination by the defense. Bit by bit, we're getting more information on the events surrounding the attack, which is central to the government's STing case. Interesting. Yeah, like I said, we're still waiting for more info. Okay, did he seem under the influence at all? Flores says no. Prosecution says when he offered you money, What did he say? Flores said that he didn't want anyone to know about it, pretty much. Prosecution says, which way was Mr. Combs dragging Cassie? Back toward the room. Prosecution, nothing further. Hamburger. Okay, guys, this is crazy. Okay, let me just keep it real. It looks like they have just finished. The first witness, and of course, there's going to be more. We're still waiting on it. Okay, but again, him dragging her back towards the hotel room can show very much signs of keeping someone against their will. That is not good. Also, we heard earlier, Flores, the security guard, at that time when this video was seen, that horrific situation that we saw, he is saying that Diddy offered money. He pulled up a stack of money and was like, please, let's make this disappear. I will give you money. Just don't say nothing about it. Of course, the defense is trying to make it seem like, no. He was just paying for the damages for the vase and whatever the damages happened in that room where he was throwing the vase around, and maybe the damages in the hotel room. That's it. That's all he was doing. He wasn't trying to pay for him to shut up. He was just trying to pay off the vase. Did he not say that he was willing to pay for the vase? Right? It could be, and then of course, like we just heard, Brian Steele says, it could be embarrassing for a guest to be, caught in a situation like this. But to me, obviously I'm finishing his sentence, but he's trying to make it seem like, no, it could be embarrassing to be caught red-handed or caught in a situation like this. He's just trying to smooth things out and make everything cool without any drama and maybe, grease their pockets a little bit, right? When in actuality, no, he was going up to the guy and basically saying, hey, man, I'm going to give you some money and you're just going to make this disappear. Okay? Make this whole thing just go bye-bye. No one has to know about this. No one has to know. But the defense is trying to wrap this whole thing around the money, around the vase, the shattered vase, which for a fact that vase is probably like $40. Okay? If even that. Cheap vase. This is not like, they're having like lifestyles of the rich and famous, and they have like a $20,000 vase just sitting there in the hotel. It's a hotel, guys. All that stuff is just cheap stuff. It's all cheap stuff. All the decorations and all that, So, okay. You know what I mean? Okay. Continuing on, judge says recross. So defense says there are motion sensitive cameras. So there are gaps, right? Flores says yes. Defense says nothing further. Judge says next witness. So prosecution says, what did Miss Ventura pay you for? Oh, wow. We don't know who this is. Okay. So this is an S worker. Uh-oh. Now, this is very interesting, too. Okay, so prosecution says, I guess the next witness came up. They're sitting down. This is definitely an S worker, okay? What did Miss Ventura pay you for? Witness says to have relations with her. Diddy was there, too. And then again, I'm going, wait a second. So she paid for an escort. Have mercy. What the fool? Interesting, right? Now, I will say this, though. There is still a possibility that Cassie paid for S workers on Diddy's behalf. That's possible. That could very well be what happened here. Maybe. But we will see. And we are waiting. And we are waiting. Hamburger. Craziness, guys. Craziness. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I know, Gabriella. Day one, just getting right to it, baby. I guess this is day one. It's day 5, really, of like including jury selection, but it is day one. You're right. You ain't wrong with that. But day one is coming in. They just ripping the Band-Aid off. We're going straight to it. So again, prosecution says, what did Cassie pay you for? And the person is like, to have relations with her. And Diddy was there too. It's going to be interesting. I was just there to have the hibbity-dibbity. Witness says, my boss called me and said he couldn't find any of our black dancers. So could I go to a bachelorette party in Gramercy Park Hotel in downtown Manhattan? Prosecution says, what did you expect to do? Witness says, a little stripper dance. A little stripper dance. Okay. That's okay. Okay, bachelorette party. So I could go to a bachelorette party in Gramercy Park Hotel in downtown Manhattan. Bachelorette party. Whose bachelorette party was this? For it to suddenly go from a little stripper dance to the hibbity-dibbity. That's the question I have here too, because that is very interesting. Freak a leak. I'm just saying. Shake it like a salt shaker. So yeah, little scribble dance, okay, is what they said. Pascal, please not the hibbity-dibbity. Yeah, well, this is what's happening. The hibbity-dibbity. Let's see. Let's wait. Let's see if there's more. Nothing so far. So we got an S worker on the stand right now as we speak. Big deals, okay? Very big deals. Hold on. Very, very big deals. So we're going to see what happens here as we sit here at bated breath. I hate when this happens. Oh, my Lord. It gives me a little bit of a break, though. Hold on. Any questions, concerns, story about dogs? Anybody? Anybody at all? I'm just trying to see if there's any. Hold on one second, guys. Okay. Let's take a little breather. Yeah, there's nothing going on so far. And it's like, what, 3:20 over there? 3:20 in New York. So there'll be, another hour and a half, and then they'll be wrapping up for the day. Really. Okay, so, excuse me. Let's see if there's more. So now it's turned into male dancer. So the male dancer says she was in the hotel room in a red wig, stockings, and sunglasses. She gave me a few $100s. Prosecution says, what was the room like? Male dancer says, red couches, Astroglide, a lubricant. There was a man on the right side of the room. He said, they said, what was the room like? And he went from red couches to Astroglide. You know what I mean? Like that is a serious left turn. That's all you saw? You saw red couches and lube. That's it. Wow. Okay. Like there wasn't like a bar on the side or, like a little band playing or anything. Like you just walked into a room and it was just nothing but red couches and lube. That's just disturbing. That is very disturbing. Okay. Is there more? Yes. Male dancer says, okay, so he says, so the prosecution said, what was the room like when you walked into the room? Oh, red couches, Astroglide. That's a lubricant. And there was a man on the right side of the room. Moving on. The man had a white robe and a banana over his face, a bandana. I said a banana over his face. Stop it, Pascal. So the man had a white robe and a bandana over his face, below his eyes, and a baseball cap. From his voice, I recognized him as Sean Combs. I'm sorry. I didn't mean a banana. I meant a bandana. But wait a second. So he had a bandana over his face. I'm assuming like this, below his eyes like this, and then he had a baseball cap on. And then, of course, he's like, Cassie, I don't want anybody to know who I am. Okay? But but we got to have some fun. You feel me? So we're going to bring these people in, and then he walks in and it's like, oh, hi, my name's Michael. Nice to meet you. And he's like, yeah. Oh, snap. You know what I mean? Yeah. No. He's exposing himself. As soon as he said anything, it was, oh, that's Diddy. That's Diddy. That's crazy. Prosecution said, what did he say? Male dancer said that he was into importing and exporting. Is that code word for something? Or is he trying to say like he's into mergers and acquisitions? Because importing and exporting could mean something else. You feel me? Yeah. Jackson just said, say what? Nah. Yeah. He said, yeah, I'm into importing and exporting. You feel me? Could that be code word for something? Like, he's a giver and a receiver. He's also a pitcher and a catcher. He's a top and a bottom. I'm just saying. Okay. He's into importing and exporting. And that could mean so. Does it mean he likes moving, substances around? Like what is moving people around too? What does it mean? Yeah, that's somebody said TD Jake. Stop. Male dancer moving on. He said he was having problems with my boss. Defense says, objection. Prosecution says, I'll get back to that. After the hibbity-dibbity was over, what happened? Male dancer says, Cassie gave me a couple $1,000s more. I guess he performed very well. Still waiting. But what does that mean? What the hell does that mean? I'm sure Cross is going to be like, sir, the hell do you mean by he's into importing and exporting? What does that mean exactly? Because that could mean code word for something. You got to remember, this guy was there not to just do a little scribble dance. He was there for something else. Clearly, he walked into the room and he already knew what time it was. He said he walked into the room and saw red couches and lube. So again, he knew that the hibbity-dibbity, the sideways samba, the beast with two backs was going to go down. So he already knew the procedure. So maybe he was saying that he's into importing, exporting because he was a giver and a receiver. Maybe that's what he was saying. Jane just said, is the banana going to be taking the stand? Oh, I remember. Oh, I was just going in and out of the dark hole. Oh, oh my God. What's wrong with me? Okay, I'm done. You imagine their testimony? Oh, man. Oh man. I'm gonna cry. I'm done. I'm done. I hate you guys. Okay, let me get this super chat. Okay, stop. Stop. Loopy Lou, thank you so much. Thank you for covering Pascal. Of course. You're welcome. I appreciate the support. Okay. We're here to have fun. Okay. Oh, God. I hate you all. I'm done. But I'm wondering, okay, so aside from the banana, I feel bad for that banana and any banana for that matter. But I'm still wondering what he means by the importing, exporting. That is a weird thing for sure. So, excuse me, man. Now, was he present? Wait. Oh, okay. Here we go. So, we got a couple. So, let's see. Okay, was he having any problems with, he said he was having problems with my boss. That's what he was saying. That's what Diddy was saying to the male dancer, okay? Then the defense says objection. Then prosecution says, I'll get back to that. After the sideways samba was over, what happened? Male dancer, Cassie, the male dancer says, Cassie gave me a couple $1,000s more. Then he said to give them my phone number. I did. Cassie called me and asked for a photo. Prosecution says, then what? Male dancer said, she called me to go back. I did for a few hours. And then a few times after that. So he was he was a staple. Okay. He was a staple over and over again. He was in there a couple times. He became a favorite then. He performed well, I guess, right? So prosecution says, Combs always present? And I'm assuming male dancer says, yes. Moving on. Prosecution says, any other locations? Male dancer says, Essex House. His residence on 56th Street. And I believe 210 at the time. Or I believe 210 at the time. And at her residence in West End Avenue. I think number 10. Prosecution says, what name were you to say you were what name were you to say you were there to see? I guess, oh, okay. So if he showed up, he had to say a certain name. What name were you to say you were there to see? So when they went to those hotels or those apartment complexes, then he would say, I'm here to see Black, I guess, which is interesting. Let's go back to here. Aside from the banana. Oh, dear God. Moving on. Let's see. Going a little bit back. Philip, the prosecution's second witness, his name is Philip. Okay. Philip, the prosecution's second witness, said he was invited into a suite at the Gramercy Park Hotel by Cassie, who said she wanted to do something special with her husband. Philip said he couldn't tell at first who her husband was, but that he recognized the voice immediately as Combs. Like I said, he was like, I don't want nobody to know who I am. Right? I don't want nobody to know who I am. And then he probably said, yeah. And he was like, oh, did he? You know what I mean? Like it takes 2 seconds, right? Daniel Phillip, the prosecution's second witness, testified that he gave him a couple $1,000s to tip him at the end of their encounter. He said Sean Diddy Combs was wearing a white robe with a bandana over his face and a baseball cap. The music mogul said he was in the importing and exporting business. Thank you for that explanation. Because I'm like, what does that mean? Is that code word for like other things? I don't know, guys. While Philip had relations with Cassie, he said, Combs was sitting in the corner taking care of himself. So he says after he left the encounter with Cassie and Sean Combs at the Gramercy Hotel, she texted him and he returned for more relations with her, with Combs doing things in the, taking care of himself in the corner of the room. He said that over the next year or two, he returned to have similar encounters with Cassie, with Combs watching in a series of hotels in New York, as well as in Combs and Ventura's homes in the city. So all of this happened in the city. Now, is this relation? Is this any connection to STing? We don't know yet. Moving people across state lines? We don't know yet. Hopefully they get to that point here soon. So Philip is his name, okay? Or sorry, Daniel is his name. So Daniel, okay. Okay, so what name were you to say you were there to see? He says Black. Daniel continues. I would send her vulgar text messages. He said, the prosecution says, like what? Daniel says, you want me to say it? Prosecution says, just give an example. Daniel says, I'd text, I want to F you right now. Then they say, how often did you use baby oil? He says, every time. Sean Combs said, we didn't have enough baby oil on. He'd say, y'all slow down, separate from each other. One time he tried to have us role play like we had just met at an airport. We weren't good, so we skipped that. So the acting sucked. The acting was absolute trash. But I never thought Cassie is an actress anyway. But still, interesting though, right? They were role playing in front of the diddler. And then he would stop them if they didn't have enough, if they weren't greased up enough. He's like, no, hold up. Y'all ain't greased up enough. Hold up. Okay? That's crazy, right? That's crazy. Hold on one second. Let me get some of these super chats. IV4, thank you so much. This sounds like like a spicy movie. That's all. I agree 100%. It's pretty crazy, right? Scarlett, what do I need to get? Oh, a hoodie that I ordered from you over a month ago. I emailed you, but haven't gotten a response. I haven't seen the email myself, but we will. I'm going to look at it, and I will look for it, and we will make sure that we respond to you. And if we haven't gotten it to you, we'll see what's going on and figure that out as soon as possible. So thank you so much for giving me that heads up, Scarlett. And I'm sorry that you haven't gotten it yet. But that's a bit of a surprise to me. So let me see what's going on. All right. So thank you so much for the heads up. But again, the fact that they were using baby oil a lot, but we didn't hear anything so far of him taking or using the baby oil and feeling like he's been taken over, right? Like suddenly he's like, oh wow, I feel so crazy with the baby oil touching my skin. You see what I'm saying? We haven't heard any of those things yet. And I'm sure that's coming. But it doesn't seem like the baby oil in this particular situation is laced. And I think that's really, really important to keep in consideration for sure. Okay. What direction did Combs give you? So aside from them doing some role playing and, of course, putting on a satisfactory amount of baby oil onto their bodies, what direction did he give you? Daniel says, he told me to step off, and back off. He'd tell me to step off and back off. Interesting. How many times, if any, were you told to relieve yourself on Cassie? Defense says objection, subjective. Sorry. Judge says overruled. Well, I mean, if that's part of the conversation and he was told to relieve himself on or in Cassie in any type of way, that's going to have to be asked, right? That's what they're presenting. That's what they said in the opening statements just today. Let's not forget. But that question is insane. I do agree. That question is freaking mother-loving insane. And is that normal? Okay. Is that normal? I mean, some other people would be like, well, when a man and a woman, when two people love each other, they relieve themselves into each other's mouth. That is a sign of love. Hey, if that's what you are into, then that's you. I don't need to know. As long as it's consensual, okay? As long as it's consensual, that's all I give a damn about. All right? And leave the bananas alone. Leave the bananas alone. Moving on. Moving on. So, overruled. Then they move on. Okay, they continue. They told me not to do it all at once. Objection from defense. To him saying they, and then judge says, I've got it. Prosecution says, what happened afterwards? Daniel, the male dancer, says, they'd leave me waiting for hours. The whole thing might go on for 10 hours. Sheesh. 10-hour freak-offs, y'all. That is diabolical. I'm sorry, 10 hours of hibbity-dibbity. I'm surprised that his weed whacker even works anymore. 10 hours straight? That's crazy, guys. To just be performing nonstop, doing all this stuff for 10 hours straight. And I will say this guy, like Diddy, covered like this and like this, the hat on and the bandana, not the banana, but the bandana across over his face. And he has that on for 10 hours straight. At some point, you're going to be looking at the guy being like, who are you? Who the are you? Those eyes look familiar. And you might be like, I hear the voice. At some point, you're going to sit there and go, You know what I mean? At some point, y'all, Something's gonna be weird. Something's gonna be weird. Yeah, I do need a T-shirt that free bananas or something like that, or something like that. Save the bananas, something like that. But again, even Viagra only can last so long. I'm assuming, right? Is it because if it lasts longer than a certain amount of time, then you need to go to the hospital. If those blue pills are still pumping in your body, still after several hours later, that's crazy, right? So again, this is all bad. Okay. So yeah, crazy, guys, crazy. Still waiting on more, but this is nuts. An S worker. Shoot. I just saw something. Hold on. New emojis. Where did you send it? S-Dubs, let me know. Because I would love to use some. I mean, not right now, but set some up this week so that you guys so members and stuff can use them. Discord? Okay, I'll look on Discord. Thank you, S-Dubs. I'll take a look. I will. I definitely will. Yeah, because we could. The members can use some new emojis for sure. That would be great. Thank you, S-Dubs. I really do appreciate that. That's dope. Thank you. I'll take a look at them after the show when I get some time. All right. But again, thank you. But again, yeah, you know what I mean? Like there are a lot of random, like the fact that it's 10 hours straight. Like, did they have dinner? Like, did they have a 3-course meal? You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of banging. That's a lot of banging. That's a lot of time to just be sitting there just whacking off. I'm sorry. It's a lot, y'all. Damn. Let's move on, though. So it would go on for 10 hours. Moving on. They were headed to the Essex Hotel. They said to go in 30 minutes. It was the first time he opened the door as himself, dressed in a suit, no mask. So again, he's like, oh, it is you, man. It is you. Sup, man? All this time we've been bumping uglies? All this time. Finally get to see you face to face, literally. Sup? This is Diddy. I'm by myself, but this is Diddy, y'all. Damn. I've been banging with Diddy. Ain't that crazy? Now he's in this suit with no mask. So prosecution says, how did things change? Daniel, the dancer, said he didn't feel, and then again, Diddy's lawyers scream out objection again. Like, I'm just saying, he's like, damn, wow. Because at some point, you're like, let's be real, you're doing some carnal acts with a woman that's just wearing a wig and glasses, and that's it. At some point, you're gonna try to, like, you're telling me that the wig isn't falling off, or the glasses that she's wearing, the shades she's wearing aren't falling off. You're not looking at her and go, she looks a lot like this person that I know. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you're gonna start asking questions, right? It's like I said, it just seems weird, right? But again, they're talking and they're like, objection, hold up, right? Because this time he opens the door dressed in a suit, right? How did things change? He didn't feel, and then a prosecution says, who, if anyone, recorded? Then the dancer says, Mr. Combs, with cell phones and a camcorder. He took a photo of my driver's license for insurance, he said. So then again, his team says objection. Judge says focus it. I don't know what that means, but moving on. Prosecution says, what did you understand? The dancer says, he was threatening me. Absolutely. That goes without question. That goes out without question. Oh, I'm taking photos of your stuff. I'm taking a photo of this. I'm taking a photo of that. Blah blah blah. Right? Come on now. at some point, yeah, you're going to be sitting there going like, no, this mother lover is straight up threatening me. You're taking a photo of my driver's license and for insurance? Bruh, come on. Get off of it. Okay? So that's a part that's very interesting too. Moving on. And these are all like, this is just dropped, just so you guys know. Fresh, hot and fresh out the kitchen. So Dancer says, once I went and Cassie was slumped over, he said, it's not going to happen this time. Ooh. Did Diddy offer you any substances? He says, Molly, I guess it's called. I don't do the substances. MDMH, MDA, I think. He doesn't know it. I went out and handed out $100 bills. I went out and handed out $100 bills. For what? Okay, so he says, Molly, I guess it's called, I don't do the substances. And he was misspelling it wrong. Okay. And he's like, I think that's what it's called. Anyway, I went out and handed out $100 bills. I wonder what it was. But what's interesting about this, though, is that he opens the door. Diddy opens the door. He's wearing a suit. He's not wearing a mask. And then, of course, guy gets there, kind of like, ready to go and do what he needs to do, perform, whatever. And Cassie is slumped over, like, I guess, passed the F out. And so he says, it's not going to happen this time. Or he put his paws on her and knocked her the F out. That could be it too. And basically saying, like, she won't be able to perform tonight. She's passed out. Right. Without saying so much, maybe put his paws on her, or she drank or did too much stuff. Right. So again, very, very interesting. Moving on. Prosecution. How did the Molly make you feel? It says sick and euphoric and like an idiot handing out $100 bills. That's funny, actually. Then he says, who else was present? Or prosecution says, who else was present? Dancer says, a guy who told me he was an actual S worker. He was having relations with Cassie at her apartment. Okay. So again, a guy who told me he was an actual S worker. He was having relations with Cassie at her apartment. So, so this dancer guy, this Daniel Phillips guy, is realizing that he's not the only one. At this point, clearly. But did he gave him some sort of pill that made him feel sick and euphoric, but made him feel really, really dumb, like robotic almost, just standing there handing out $100 bills? To whom, I would like to know. And what was this event? Was he in the middle of a freak off that he didn't know he was in the middle of? Or was he just at a party, just drunk? Right? And Carrie, no, this guy did not just dance for 10 hours. He was bumping uglies with Cassie for 10 hours. Performing for Diddy. They would do role playing. They would do different things. You know what I mean? They would probably dance and roll all over each other, that kind of thing. They were doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Okay. Together. Yeah. Including the hibbity dibbity stuff. Okay. So this is interesting. Moving on. Says the guy was looking at Sean Combs and Combs said, "Don't be effing looking at me." Then defense says objection. Judge says, let's get a fresh question. So he said, so prosecution says, what did he look like? And then he says, black guy, kind of skinny. We exchanged phone numbers. So he says the guy was like looking at Sean Combs, and Combs said, Don't be effing looking at me. What did he look like? He was a black guy, kind of skinny. We exchanged phone numbers. Let's see what they got to say here. We got 4 new updates. Let's go. Okay, that's what I already read there. It is day 1 of the trial, and already the jury is hearing extremely explicit testimony from a man who said he was paid to have relations with Cassie. Blah blah blah. Jurors were asked if they could listen to this kind of graphic testimony, and multiple candidates were struck from the pool when they said they could not. Daniel Phillip, okay, he recalled recording encounters with Cassie once or twice with a cell phone or camcorder. So this guy once said Cassie appeared to be on substances. He asked to see his ID for insurance. The prosecutor asked how he interpreted that. Said he was threatening me, he said. That's all they've said here too. Diggity dang. Have you seen him in 10 years? The dancer says no. Prosecutor says, did it ever seem you were not the first person there? So then the dancer says, yes. Half-used Astroglide, towels on the floor. Whew, good God. Prosecution says, after the $100 bills, did you see them again? Male dancer says, I couldn't do it anymore. I wonder why. Because of because of the substances or something else. Think about this, okay? Have you seen him in 10 years? No. Did it ever seem you were not the first person there? Yes. Half-used lube, towels on the floor. So clearly some parties were going on. And again, for them, it's like, this ain't my whole night, it seems like, with Diddy. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, thanks, man. You did your thing. Peace out. We ain't done yet. That's crazy, y'all. That is so crazy. Man. Okay, moving on. Prosecution, after the $100 bills, did you see them again? And he says, I couldn't do it anymore. I'm wondering what he means by I couldn't do it anymore. Because I'd like to know what he means by I can't do it anymore. Because this is crazy. Okay? That's a whole, like, and then at the same time, if you really think about it, this is terrible. This is terrible for Diddy. And this shows how disturbing and disgusting a life that Cassie went through. You got to remember, she was getting used up. This dude used her the F up, y'all. This is crazy. Do you understand how crazy this is? This is absolutely crazy. So when she was saying that she was basically being used like this, she wasn't joking. You got other guys sitting here saying, yeah, we would be in there for 10 hours. 10 hours? Do you understand how raw you must be at some point? Male or female? At some point, you're going to be like, I'm tired. Like, I am, tap me out. I can't do this for 10 hours. That's insane. Then also on top of that, it's like the fact that she's not even done with her night. So that when this male dancer would show up, this Daniel Phillip guy would show up, sometimes her night she was in the middle of the night. She was in the middle of her night or middle of her own freak off. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I still can't believe that's even like to put somebody through something like this for this long. He's in some serious trouble, y'all. Diddy's in some serious trouble. So he says here, because we got a new update, he says here, I couldn't do it anymore, right? So prosecution says, what did you get paid when you couldn't perform? Daniel Phillips says, nothing. But I never asked for money. I was happy to get involved with people with such notoriety. But after I saw Sean Combs hit Cassie, I couldn't do it anymore. So then when did that happen, Mang? What happened? When did that happen? Are we going to get to that point? Let's go. They only have an hour left before they start shutting everything down. Okay, before they convene for the day. So let's get to the meat and potatoes, baby. Diggity damn. So you saw him put his paws on Cassie. That is a very big deal. Okay? And what's interesting, too, is that he didn't mind being there performing because he was around such big names. Man, I'm bumping uglies with Diddy right there. This is awesome, right? He didn't pay no mind. Didn't bother him none that he was being invited to these F-offs, to these freak-offs. That's totally normal. Ain't that something, right? But there it is. After I saw him, Diddy, put his paws on Cassie, I couldn't do it anymore. Why couldn't he do it anymore? Think about it. Is it maybe because the next thing they're going to say is because he was forcing her to perform and she didn't want to perform anymore? You also got to remember, there is a possibility that she was totally down for this in the beginning. They were doing crazy amounts of substances. They were going crazy, having a great time, drinking, doing what they do. Substances all day long. They're superstars. They can do whatever they want. They don't have to worry about having the 9-to-5 or where the next dollar is going to be. They can go and kick it. They can have a 6-month vacation and come back and drop another album or put their face in an ad and make a couple $1 million and go and take another 6 months off. And the entire time could be completely saturated with the rock style, you know, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing, right? Literally. They don't have to worry about anything. They really don't. But then you have somebody who's coming in and seeing something like this. At some point, she probably was fine with it at first. And then she said, I can't do it anymore. But here's the thing, and we've learned this a million times before. It can always be consensual in the very beginning. But as soon as somebody says no, it really means no. It's done. It's a wrap. Stop. If they say no, 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 they say stop. They say, I don't want to do this. I'm done. I'm tired of these 10-hour these 10-hour sessions. As soon as they say no, you need to listen to them. Period. You need to listen to them. We'll find out what that means, what they mean right here. But this is a big deal, guys. He witnessed something. What is that? So, prosecution says, what was Diddy saying as he What was Diddy saying as he meet Cassie? Maybe as he hit Cassie, right? Dancer says, he said, B, when I tell you to come over, you come over. I didn't know what to do. Did you intervene? No, I knew that I knew that the chances there, I knew that there were chances there were bodyguards. Objection, sustained. So hold on. First off, he literally saw and witnessed Diddy say, B, when I tell you to come over, you come over. He witnessed that. He said, I didn't even know what to do. Did you intervene? No. I knew that chances are there were bodyguards. Objection sustained. That is not a crime. No, it's a crime. Putting your hands on somebody is a crime. It most definitely is a crime, guys. That is definitely a crime. Okay? So he put his paws on her. It was seen and witnessed by this dancer, and that's why he didn't want to. That's why he didn't want to do it no more. That's some messed up stuff, y'all. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. That's crazy, yo. That's crazy. Let's see what they got to say here. One update. Interesting. Daniel Phillip, who ran a mail review, said he was paid between $700 to $6,000 for each sexual encounter with Cassie while Diddy watched and took care of himself. Just in the corner wailing on himself. It's just what a visual that I never thought I'd ever have in my whole entire life. Diddy in the corner just tenderizing the meat. IV4, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. These S shows happen every weekend at these rich Hollywood parties. Come on. Swingers everywhere out there. That is true. Diddy just happened to be one of them. Now, here it is. You ain't wrong, because it's pretty crazy what you see out here. Okay? People be freaky. People freaks. And like I said, be a freak. If you want to be a freak, be a freak. Do your thing, baby. Okay? Let your freak flag fly flowing ever so beautifully in the sky. As long as it's consensual, guys. Damn. Okay? Because again, at the end of the day, if you're sitting there and you're doing things and you're putting your paws on somebody that doesn't need to be putting their paws have your paws on them, if that makes any sense, then you got to understand, like, you got to respect that. Okay? Keep your hands to yourself. As soon as somebody says no, that's the end of the conversation. That's the end of the conversation. Okay? Yeah, Diddy's definitely a freaky guy. He's a very freaky guy. You know? He's a super freak. That is for sure. That is without question. But he also is a spoiled little bit. Okay, sorry. I'm done. But here it is. So he put his paws on her. Diddy put his paws on Cassie. This male dancer, Daniel Phillips, saw this, threw him off so much that he did not want to work with them ever again. And he was there for a while. He did this kind of stuff with Cassie and Diddy for a while. But after he saw this, he said, I'm out the door. So moving on. Prosecution said, what next? Male dancer said, are y'all ready to continue? That coercion. Oh, snap. Hold on. That is coercion, y'all. At first, I didn't know what this meant. Because it could be like they were in an argument. And he's like, B, when I tell you to come over, you come over here, right? He could have just been having a fight with her. But now that they're talking about, oh, they were in the middle of some sort of session. And she's like, I want nothing to do with this. I'm out. I'm tired. I don't want to do this. This is coercion, forced, big time. Oh, my damn. He's like, come over here. He puts his paws on her. And then he turns to him and it's like, okay, y'all ready to continue? The what? So then continuing, Prosecution says, did you try? Male dancer says, I don't recall. Okay. Prosecution said, did you see them again? Male dancer says, Daniel says, I thought I had developed some sort of friendship with Cassie. I may have been speculating. So maybe he reached out to her to be like, hey, you good? Like, you all right? Is everything all right? I care. Well, if you really think about it, if you are doing some carnal acts with somebody buck naked, I just truly believe, yeah, you're going to instantly feel some sort of connection with that person. There's a level of intimacy when you see somebody completely in their birthday suit, especially when you're doing acts like this. At some point, you're going to have some sort of connection with them. It might be an emotional connection or just be connected because you guys are going through something together, right? But I mean, you are literally, this dude was inside. I'm sorry to say it like that, but this dude is straight up inside Cassie for hours on end. Like, come on. Hours on end. That is some very intimate stuff. Very intimate stuff. So this is, whoo-wee. Yeah, you know, some people say energy transfer, that kind of thing. But again, y'all, somebody said, if you think Diddy is innocent, you're slow. This guy saw Diddy put his paws, allegedly put his paws on Cassie to make her go back and perform with him. Now, he says he doesn't remember if they continued or not. And he might be saying that so he doesn't get himself in trouble because he doesn't want to be involved in some sort of R or in some sort of SA, right? He doesn't want to incriminate himself. But if he saw what he saw, then he saw what he saw. But I know defense is going to be asking some questions for sure. Let's continue. I went there. I heard him slapping her. Oh, my dear Lord. Listen to this. I went there. I heard him putting his hands on her. Okay. He walked out in a towel. Doesn't that sound familiar? She ran to me. I asked, why are you staying with this guy? Defense. Objection. Judge says ground. I guess grounds. Defense says hearsay. Judge says overruled. Male dancer says she said it was okay. Oh my dear Lord. Oh, they can't come. These tweets can't come out fast enough. This is a crazy situation. He loves being in his towel, doesn't he? It's like that's like his white tank top. You know the what they usually call the I hate to say it like this, but you know the wife beater t-shirt or the tank tops, right? That's what some people call it, right? Those tanks. His is just a towel. That's crazy, guys. Walked out of the towel. She ran to me. He heard Sean Diddy Combs put his paws on Cassie. He's even seen it. Okay? He's seen it. She ran to him. Why are you staying with this guy? She says, it was okay. Like I said, these tweets can't come out fast enough, yo. Man, this is nuts, y'all. Okay? Yeah, maybe the towel was his like meat beater outfit. You never know, man. It might be like easier access if you really think about it. If you want to be, if you want to be discreet, you can just throw the towel over. If you want everybody to see it, just raging out there, you know what I mean? Just a fiery crotch. You could do that too. You never know. Just prominent out there for everyone to see. Maybe that's what it is. A discreet tug, or just, let it all hang out, and it's just simply just that, just whoop, maybe that's what it is. So weird. So weird. So weird. Moving on. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. Prosecution says nothing further. So judge says we're going to take a break before cross. Oh, golly. Okay. So a break before cross. This is some bull-ish. Okay. But here's something for sure that we are gathering right now. Okay. As we all sit here together as a family, coming together. Well, that's weird too. Pause. But gathering together, we are now starting to hear the coercion, the way that Diddy would force her to perform, force her to do things that she did not want to do. And we're hearing that from an actual S worker that was involved in this situation. And I don't think this person's hiding behind a pseudonym. Okay. From what we've gathered, this person is Daniel Phillip. Okay. So this is crazy. And I'm wondering what Cross is going to do, how they're going to react to this whole thing, because they're going to try to poke holes in his story for sure. Okay. So we got a couple things. Do we? Yes, we do. Asked why he returned. Okay. He was asked why he returned to Cassie and Diddy after the actual violence that he had witnessed. He said it was out of concern for Cassie. It was my way of being able to check on her and seeing she was okay. So then another person, Daniel Phillip, who was paid to, for the counters, recalls another time where he heard what sounded like Diddy attacking her and Ventura yelling, "I'm sorry," after he left a hotel. Cassie ran to Phillip and jumped into his lap, he recalled. Jumped into his lap. Yeah, they were close. Clearly, she was shaking. I asked her, why is she doing this? Why is she staying with this guy? This is what he testified. I tried to explain to her that she was in real danger if she stayed with him. This is what Phillip went on to say. Now, I'm wondering if they're going to try to spin this and try to be like, you obviously were in love with her and you were just jealous. You wanted her all to yourself. Didn't you, Daniel? Didn't you? You know what I mean? I just see that. I could see I see the potential of that, right? Moving on, just now, this is what was updated here. We had expected that Cassie might testify today, but now it is clear she will not. The defense said they expect their cross-examination to continue until court closes today at 5 p.m. So again, they are there for another 45 minutes. So it said they expect their cross-examination will continue until court closes. So they're going to be cross-examining Daniel Phillip for the next 45 minutes. And then, of course, everything will reconvene tomorrow with, I'm assuming if they get all they needed from him in his cross with the defense in 45 minutes, we will see. But then tomorrow, it's going off. It's going off, man. It's about to go off. It's going to be crazy, y'all. Okay. So they're still doing a cross-examination. So we'll see. We're waiting for that right now as we speak. Okay. We are definitely waiting for that, but I'm just checking a few things. Hold on. Let me get over to Law and Crime again real quick.
Or abuse by other powerful figures. It's an interesting question. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, because either the
Trial, so many years.
Cross-examination, and once a client testifies, you lose control of the case. You lose control of him. And while I'm sure he's a very eloquent guy and a smart guy, if I'm cross-examining him, I spend the first, I don't know, hour replaying the video while he's on the witness stand without even asking him a question. Not so sure they want to put him through all that.
We have an earlier question. Sorry I didn't get to it till now. From Render Token HODL. Was there any additional evidence brought to light? So maybe you mean during opening statements. I mean, look, there was a mention of Mia. They mentioned Cassie Ventura, maybe knew, maybe not. It does become a question, I think, and Brian, how much is going to be shown to this jury? What do I mean by that? Leading up to this case, everything was redacted. Everything was blacked out. Is it not going to be anymore? Are we going to know everything by the end of 8 weeks?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're going to have to unredact it, identities, etc. I mean, personal information, no, but, Social Security, that kind of factual, statistical information.
Just so you know, she's not testifying today. Okay. Cassie will not be testifying today. There's no time. So they're going to finish up with this witness. And as soon as they get their cross, their recross, whatever, then they will basically adjourn for the day. And then they'll start everything back up tomorrow morning. And then, of course, that's when my assumption it will be Cassie being brought in. Okay. But like I said, we'll see what happens here because this is going to be crazy. And it sucks because I was hoping that they were going to have Cassie today so that tomorrow, so tomorrow would be a little bit, but I'm going to squeeze in as much as I can so we can, you know what I mean? So we could talk about it. And because we do not want to miss the Cassie testimony. Okay. Just so you know. So, as soon as I get done with the stuff I need to get taken care of, we will be here live talking about it all. Okay. IV4, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Just think the kids listening to do and the mom. I don't know what that means. Just think the kids listening and the mom. Oh, the kids listening to this and the mom. Yeah, that's pretty crazy if you really think about it. Yeah, that is pretty nuts. They're all in there. They're all in that room listening to all of this, right? Real quick, R. Kurtz, are they sequestering the jury? No, they are not. And I do not agree with that. I think it's dumb. Because for a fact Diddy can go and mess with this stuff. Diddy powerful, man. Diddy very powerful. You don't think there are people out here that'll do everything they can to get this guy out? Tamper with the witnesses? They're already doing that, I feel. Tamper with jurors? Wait for it. It's going to happen. You have alternates, but, everyone can be messed with, guys, which is just ridiculous. So we'll see what happens, though. Real talk. Now, we're still waiting for some more information, but hold on, guys. I'm going to play a little bit more.
But names, identities, you can't have a fair trial. You can't cross-examine witnesses without that material being redacted. So with the exception of, maybe some identifying information about bank accounts and things like that, all bets are off. It's coming in, it's getting unredacted.
We got a few more minutes here. I want to tell everybody what's been happening in court. Again, this former security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel is being questioned right now. First witness of this trial, of Sean Combs' criminal trial. Prosecutor asks, when did this incident take place? Mr. Flores says 11 a.m. I got a report of a woman in distress on the 6th floor.
Hold on, guys. I'm seeing if there's any other updates. I was hoping that there'd be more like coverage. But there really isn't. Like, people aren't really doing live coverage of it. You know what I mean? I mean, there's YouTubers that are doing live coverage, absolutely. But I'm saying, like, as far as like the news, Fox, they're not really doing commentary. You see what I'm saying? They're not really doing a whole lot of commentary, which I was hoping for, especially during these during these little breaks like this, like they're taking a break right now. Now I'm going to check this just to see if there's anything more. One second, guys. Yeah, I'm just checking to see if there's any updates, but so far nothing. So just to remind you guys, people were expecting Cassie to be one of the first people to be to testify today. She is not going to be testifying today. She will most likely she'll probably be first on the docket tomorrow. So it'll be a big freaking deal. I'm checking New York Times. I'm reading to you guys what was being said just a few minutes ago. And right now it's still the same thing, just so you guys can see. Still the same thing. We had expected that Cassie might testify today, but now it is clear she will not. The defense said they expect their cross-examination to continue until court closes today at 5 p.m., which, by the way, is 40 minutes from now. All right? It's for less than 40 minutes from now. So clearly when they do their cross, they're going to do their thing, and then it's going to be a wrap for the day. It'll be a wrap for the day, and then they'll reconvene tomorrow. So again, she'll be back most likely tomorrow after they do their cross, because I don't think they're going to be done crossing with this particular witness. I really don't think so. So tomorrow they'll pick up with Daniel Phillip. They'll have more questions for him. I'm sure there'll be another cross or so, and then they'll be done with him. And then they'll take a break, most likely. Maybe they'll do maybe that cross will take a little bit longer. Maybe not. But I really don't think that they're done asking this guy questions. But then by lunch, I think we will have Cassie being questioned. I'm assuming. But there are other people. I'm sure they're going to try to get her in and out as soon as possible, given the fact that she is very pregnant. Like, she is very pregnant. She about to pop. So that's just what I think. So we'll see what happens here. This is going to be insane, right? Oh, this is going to be crazy. This is definitely going to be absolutely knuckin' futs. Excuse me. Where is the mouse? Come on. Yeah. In fact, I kind of feel like they should just wrap for the day, given the fact that, I mean, they're taking a break right now, right? They're doing a break right now. I think they're going to get back into the room, and he's going to sit there and go, honestly, let's just wrap. Let's wrap for the day, and we'll start up tomorrow, and we'll start with cross. You see what I'm saying? Because right now it is 4:24 Eastern Standard Time right now. At least that's what I think. Yeah, this is going to be going on for 8 weeks. 8 weeks deep. It's going to be crazy, y'all. 8 weeks. Yeah, this is going to be a long 8 weeks. We're all just going to know each other a little bit more at the end of these 8 weeks. Okay? We're just going to know each other a little bit more better. Okay? Could the trial end sooner than 8 weeks? That's if they crush through. Like, that's if they go through all the witnesses, or a bunch of witnesses don't show up. That there is a possibility of that. Yeah, there definitely is. Most definitely, there's a possibility of that. But we'll see. Yeah, judge took a break for 4:20, and yeah, I don't. He doesn't seem like the type who would enjoy that kind of stuff. He just does not give me that vibe. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is gonna be interesting when it all is said and done, man. I mean, shoot, how long is the break gotta be? Yeah, like I said, I have a feeling they're gonna be like, okay, let's wrap for the day, and then we'll get back up and running again tomorrow. That's what I truly think is gonna happen, but I could be wrong. I mean, shoot, it's almost 4:30 over there. One second, y'all. Just taking a look at some things here. Yeah, and then apparently Brian Koberger is trending right now. I don't know what's going on, but I guess we'll see soon enough. All right. Just refreshing. Just to see if there's anything. Nothing so far. Still a break. Still a doggone break, y'all. And I'm also wondering, have they come out and have been speaking out at all? Have they done any like walking out of the courtroom and putting in their, like, leaving a soundbite or anything? I haven't seen them do that yet, I don't think, right? So this might be the first day. Today might be the first time of us seeing something like that. So there's a possibility of that too. Yeah, Kimmy, I saw the whole thing about I watched it. The first half was good because it was all stuff that we didn't know, right? It was all new stuff. But the last half is like, we already know about all the touch DNA BS and the genealogy and you know what I mean, all that stuff. So yeah, I guess people are still talking about that, I guess. Interesting. Buns, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Thank you for covering this, Pascal. Some of the comments in this chat are vile, and it makes me question the intelligence of the jury if they are compromised of our peers like these. I mean, here it is. I am curious about that too. I mean, not towards the people in the chat. I mean, everybody has the right to have their own opinion because they've been following this online. But what we want more than anything is a jury that's going to have an unbiased opinion. In fact, we want them to be dumb. We want them to have no clue. Unbiased, non-partial opinion. No opinion, actually. Just like, hey, I don't know this story or I don't know this case, so let prosecution and defense present their argument and present their story. That's what we need to, and then we're going to hear it with fresh ears and fresh eyes, with no preconceived notions of anything. That's what it should be, right? Now, when it comes to the court of public opinion and the town square, well, the town square and the court of public opinion, well, we're entitled to have our opinions, right? We're totally entitled to, because most have already come up with their own verdict over this situation. Now, I wouldn't say that that's the best way to do it. You want to see what is presented in court, right? But it's hard for, I feel, the court of public opinion to just not have a side to lean on. It's just not how we're built, you know? It's just not. Of course, it'd be nice to see everybody kind of come towards this with more of a open mind, right? And maybe one day that will happen. Just not this case. He's too big of a name, too big of a profile. And that's the thing. And I understand that concern. It influencing the jury, that a lot of these people may have already known about this case because it's such a big case. And that's the problem too, right? That is a massive, massive problem. What do you do when you have somebody on trial who's a international name? What do you do? I don't know. I wish we had more answers for that, for sure. Let me see here. Let's see here. Ooh, here we go. We got a new update. Inside the courtroom, Combs is sitting back in his chair, his body visibly tense as a witness testifies in detail about getting paid to have relations with Cassie in front of him. Diddy's 3 daughters that are present have at times left the courtroom during explicit testimony about the hibbity-dibbity. His sons have been sitting stone-faced, at times passing notes to each other. Now, somebody just said in the chat, man, I feel bad, like, because imagine his mama and his kids are in that room, in that courtroom. Yeah, this is some hard things to listen to, you know? Your dad's a freak a leak. Okay? He likes getting his hand caught in many cookie jars. That's a lot to consume in your head, right? That's a lot to process. Especially the girls. You got your girls there. Your twin girls are there, man. And you clearly are being depicted as someone who is not treating women respectfully. And you a father, you a girl dad. That's crazy, guys. It's crazy. The prosecution's second witness, who said he ran a mail review, recounted a series of incidents beginning in 2012 when he was paid to have relations with Cassie for as much as $6,000 per encounter. Sean Combs was present for these encounters, usually sitting in a corner, beating the meat, tenderizing his meat. During more than an hour of explicit testimony, Philip described a number of incidents of violence. He said Diddy once threw a liquor bottle, we didn't hear this part yet, threw a liquor bottle at Cassie when she did not immediately go to him when called, and that he had heard Diddy attacking her in a room and Cassie crying. Diddy also took a photo of his insurance, his ID for insurance, which Philip said he viewed as a threat. Anybody would view that as a threat. That's weird. During his testimony, Diddy's daughters, 3 daughters, okay, who were present, left the courtroom. Yeah, 3 whole daughters. Forgot, it's 3. All right? That is it's just disturbing, guys. I'm sorry. Those things, those carnal things, that's crazy. So note, during the break, the male dancer witness name is, thank you so much for correcting that. Cool. Daniel Phillip, not Phillips, as it first sounded like. Okay. So he says, okay, what do you have but can I have the lawyers for a sidebar? So again, like I said, they're going to be wrapping up here soon. It's clear. There's no way they're going to do cross right now. Unless they're like, we got to nip this in the bud. We got to keep it moving. Okay. But again, defense still needs to cross-examine Daniel Phillip. But we'll see what happens here. Okay. We're going to see. But they're back in the room. All right. I guarantee you, it's like, wait a second, we got 10 more minutes, not 10 more minutes. I'm sorry. We got 25 more minutes until they have to adjourn for the day, right? They have to stop for the day. So I really think that that's what's going to happen here very soon. They're going to take a pause, or maybe not. Oh, wow. They're not. So then let's continue. This is crazy. Interesting. Okay. So the judge says you're still under oath. So I guess they're like, you know what? We got a couple questions. We're going to knock it out. Maybe that's what it is. Like they're like, hey, you got 25 minutes. You think you can get everything you can out of him in 25 minutes? And they're probably like, yeah, we only need a few minutes. We're good. So let's see it. So the judge says you are still under oath. Okay. Reminding Mr. Phillip that he's still under oath. So Combs' lawyer, so Donaldson, says, let me show you a text message chain between you and Cassie. Is this accurate? Daniel Phillips says yes. So Combs' lawyer says, you were working for a service? And he says, a mail review show. And then we got to wait again. But that's interesting, though, to just bring back this, that he once threw a liquor bottle at Cassie. We didn't hear that in the other, in the other tweet or in the tweets that we've been seeing, the live tweets. So that's very interesting that you got somebody who's saying, I saw him actually throw a liquor bottle straight at Cassie. That's unacceptable, y'all. Diabolical and unacceptable. Real talk. Unbelievable. So let's see if there's any more. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. It's funny you say Amber Heard all over again. You want to know something interesting? Amber Heard just gave birth to twins. Yeah, she just had twins yesterday on Mother's Day, of all things. Or at least I think she announced it, on Mother's Day. Ain't that something? Amber Heard got 3 kids now. And I'm sure all of them are Elon Musk's. Just saying. Wasn't he trying to get some of his sperm back? Uh-huh. Yeah. Moving on. So, you were working for a service. He says a mail review show. He says you were the defense says you were a manager, mail strippers for women. Daniel Phillips says yes. Donaldson, the defense, says prose was prohibited, like selling yourself for the hibbity dibbity through this mail review service was prohibited. Daniel Phillips said that is correct. Defense says your job was to build it up. Phillips says yes and no. He says, I'll go with yes. That's what the defense said. I'll go with yes. Your job was to build it up. Yes or no? He goes, no, I'll go with yes. So then, of course, prosecution says objection. And the judge says sustained. Unbelievable. We're still waiting. Excuse me. We're still waiting on more info. Oh, my Lord. The plot keeps on thickening, y'all. The plot keeps on thickening. Yeah, that is, he's like, no, I'll go with yes. I'll just go with yes. That's fine. Unbelievable. Yeah, that's a clear objection for sure. This lawyer definitely wanted to just kind of slip in his commentary. Like, yeah, no, I'll go with yes. As we continue to wait. Actually, let me take this down. I forgot to. Wow, over 5,000 votes. That's unbelievable. Thank you so much. I'm ending this because because I got to ask you another question. But do you think, as we wait for more updates, and I said, do you think Diddy will take the stand? 60% of you guys say no. 40% of you guys say yes. So that's interesting. I don't think he will either. I think it would be a very dumb move for him to do that. I feel like that would have to be a Hail Mary move, thinking that he can get up there and like sway the jury, being himself, being, Diddy. I just don't think he can do it. I just don't think he can. There's just too much locked up and pitted against him. I think it would be very hard for them to say otherwise, right? But real quick, look at this. So, defense, did the company open fake businesses to optimize search results? So Daniel Phillips says fake addresses. It was just CEO or SEO. I'm sorry. So defense says you went to optimize the ladies' experience. He says, I have no idea what you mean. It's just our slogan. I wonder what they're trying to. I'm wondering what they're trying to get at here. Wait for it, because I'm sure they're gonna drop a bomb here in a second, and we're gonna be like, "Wow, yeah, that's just dumb." But we'll see what happens here. Let's see. Uno momento, por favor. Yeah, we're still waiting. I hate when that happens. Yeah, he's like, but that's our slogan. We're here to optimize the ladies' experience. Interesting. He was doing that for Cassie, I guess, until it wasn't optimizable ever. Until it wasn't optimizable anymore. Oh, I was going to ask another question. What was I going to ask? I'm trying to remember what I was going to ask, guys. What was the question I was going to ask? We got an update, I think. Nope, not yet. Not yet. Let's see. We got an update from New York Times, though. Let's see this. Xavier Donaldson, a new addition to Diddy's defense, has started his cross-examination of Daniel, who said he was repeatedly paid to have relations with Cassie, which we already know about all this, underscoring that it prohibited. So the review show, okay, of of the company that Daniel was a part of, prohibited that kind of S work. Okay. There's been a strange and argumentative back and forth between Sean Combs' lawyer, Donaldson, and Daniel over whether Philip viewed his job as to optimize the ladies' night experience. I mean, it doesn't change. That is strange. I mean, it doesn't matter. At this point, it doesn't even matter. You realize that it doesn't matter, right? Like, it doesn't matter if he was there to optimize the ladies' night, which is, give them the old, beef injection, or to just, sit there and wiggle. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He still got paid to do certain things with somebody who didn't want to do it anymore. Maybe in the very beginning, it was fine. It was cool. It was fine and dandy. But after some time, she did not want to do it anymore. And then she was forced to do those things with this guy. He was paid to be there as a service, and that's what he did. Where is this back and forth even going? That's one thing I'm kind of curious about. What are they alluding to? Right? Because again, miss me with the nonsense. His job was to go in there and I'm sure just, do his thing, right? Not the carnal stuff, but just to do his thing, dance and grind and do his thing, right? The other part, he decided on his own time to get paid to do those things, but he was still solicited and paid to act out those things. Now, this one doesn't say anything about him being moved across state lines to do anything, but he is somebody who was intimate with Cassie and saw firsthand her get forced, coerced, threatened, and physically harmed to perform with him. That's all that matters. So the fact that they're trying to go back and forth and trying to make it seem like something, you're wasting your time. Okay? So he says, defense says, Cassie told you to say the name Black? So Daniel says, yes. Defense says, your boss told you someone wanted a black man stripper. Philip says, yes. So then defense says, let me show you. Prosecution says, this shouldn't be put on the screen. So then I guess they showed something that they shouldn't be showing on the screen. So they said, take it off, take it off. So they took off what I'm assuming they took off whatever was on the screen off the screen. But again, it's like, okay, his stage name or his code name was Black. You see what I'm saying? Like, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what this is all about. To me, it's like, okay. Okay. But we'll see what this is all about. Let's see if there's more. Yeah, and I'm wondering what the picture is too. Like he was like, "Let me show you. Show you what? You know what I mean? What is this picture of that they put up that was immediately taken down?" Carrie said, "What do you think of the defense so far?" To me, right now, it feels like they're grasping at straws. It still feels it just doesn't. I'm just not. I'm not. I don't know. Something about it seems a little weak sauce right now. I just don't. I like the questions that are being asked and all that. It just seems a bit weak. Something. Nah. I just feel like it's not super solid yet. But it is only day one, right? It is definitely a grasping at straws situation. That's what I'm seeing right now. But I'm hoping that, because honestly, let's be real. I feel like when defense, it depends, because we've actually seen trials where, you think it's going to be like a landslide for the defense, and then they bring in all of these witnesses and the witnesses are trash. So then everything starts crumbling for the defense, or vice versa, right? And it could very well be that same situation here, that we're thinking, oh, damn, the defense is going to be bringing in some victims or some witnesses that are just going to annihilate the prosecution. And then they bring them up and it doesn't even work. None of it works. It makes no sense. It just continues to look like the defense is grasping at straws. And right now, even with the prosecution on day one, we've gone through soon to be 2 witnesses so far. And right now it feels a little bit like that. A little bit of like, well, you say you saw the black man in all black in the hotel room, but you didn't write it in your report. So that doesn't change anything. There could have been a party of people in that room. It doesn't matter. The altercation was going on between 2 people. Now, if the other 2 people were fighting, if there were other people fighting in that hotel room as well as as Cassie and Diddy were outside the hotel room, I'm sure they would be part of the report too. But if you got a guy sitting on a pull-out bed, chilling, not doing anything, just chilling in the cut, where's the wrong? You know what I mean? Why does he have to be reported? That just doesn't make any sense. But you see, defense is like, yeah, you see, they didn't report that, guys. Reasonable doubt there, guys. It's like, no, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't. Just, them trying to poke holes. When you mean that you're gonna pay for the vase, when she said that, you know what he really meant, right? You know what I mean? When you said pay for the vase, were you really trying to have him pay for the vase, or were you really meaning something else? Guys, jury, questions? You know what I mean? It just seems weird. Okay. No, I don't hate Diddy. Jesus. I don't hate Diddy at all. In fact, I want to see the defense. I want to see the defense surprise me, because right now, from what we have seen and the things that they have presented so far, it has not been that good, guys. Okay? It has not been good. We got more. So they had something on the screen. They said, take it off, take it off. So the defense is she was wearing a wig. Daniel says, yes, she was. Defense says she handed you money. She handed me $4,000 before any oil rubbing. Answer, correct. She had on heels. Philip said, and dark glasses. Where did the money come from? Her hand. No, this came out her hoo-ha. Like, what the hell, y'all? Where did it come from? Did it just suddenly materialize? Did it suddenly materialize out of nowhere? That's what happened, right? That's what happened. No, man, she had it in her hand, bruh. Come on. Like I said, see what I'm saying? It's a little bit of a grasping of straws so far. But like I said, you never know. The defense might come out. Wait for the defense to have a chance to put out their witnesses. Trust me, we got 8 weeks of this stuff. This is just day one. When they bring in their witnesses, this could be a completely different situation, bro. They might annihilate prosecution. We'll see. For right now, though, it's kind of... And where did she get the money from? If she had nothing but high heels, she had nothing on but high heels, wigs, and the radio on. You know what I mean? Like, so you mean to tell me she had money? Where do you think she was able to put the money? Where did the money come from? And he's like, her hand? You know, it's interesting. You could do a lot of things with a hand. You could pick things up with it and hold wads of cash in it and hand it to somebody. Like, they're like, yeah. Where did the money go? If you only saw her in her birthday suit, where did the money go? Well, she had it stuffed up her hoo-ha? No, it's in her hand, buddy. She's holding it. Okay. Moving on. Defense. You were wearing a New York City Police Department uniform, right? I bought a NYPD t-shirt. Yeah. A t-shirt. So you took the oil off in front of Cassie? The oil? No, I took my clothes off. She said, it's my birthday. You took the oil off in front of Cassie? Yeah, I'm wondering what they mean by what they're trying to go with this. Because this is funny. Like, you were wearing a New York City Police Department uniform, right? And he's like, no, I bought a t-shirt. It was NYPD. It was an NYPD t-shirt. Not an outfit. No, I showed up with that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Like what's going on here? I really want to know what these questions are really all about. Like I said, and I understand this is like shorthand. We're just getting live tweets. That's very shorthand stuff. So there might be more information here that we're not getting in its entirety, which we'll get here shortly. But like I said, court is supposed to be going to be ending here very, very soon. 4 minutes from now, it'll be a wrap. So this is very interesting. This is a very interesting series of questions. Still waiting. But like I said, what kind of question is that? Just okay. You took the oil off in front of Cassie. The oil? No, I took my clothes off. She said it's my birthday. Somebody explain what the hell's going on here. Come on. We need a more thorough explanation here because that's some wild stuff. Still nothing. Come on. Give it time. Yeah, and I mean, if the questions are actually being written out the way that they have been asked, yeah, it's kind of whack. But I don't know. You know what I mean? This is kind of when I wish that I had this is kind of when I wish I had more, like there was more context, or that this was on video, on camera. And that's the one thing that's really tragic about this, is that we're not going to get all that, right? Let me refresh this, see if there's anything new. Nothing? Come on, man. Hold on. Let me see what's going on here. Give me a second here. Yeah, because like in 1 minute, it's a wrap. In 1 minute, it's a wrap, son. Yeah, I'm just checking a few things here, guys. Interesting. Oh, that's not it. Nope. Those are old tweets. Sorry, guys. 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm just checking a few things. It's still nothing. As we refresh to see if there's any new updates. Right now, none. Right now, none. That's really annoying. That's really annoying, guys, right now. But we're still waiting. We're still waiting. But I will say this is a good opportunity just to remind you guys of, I don't know if you guys have seen, but we do have a little t-shirt out. This one's kind of wrinkled, but we do have the 5 Nights at Diddy's t-shirt available on pascalmerch.com. Okay, so go check it out. Go check it out. I have a feeling there's going to be more coming out here very, very soon. More t-shirts and hoodies coming out here very soon. Because I got something I just thought of, and I'm going for it. We're going to roll with it. But anyway, check it out if you can. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let me. That's. I'm going to ask that question. Let's see that. Boom. I got another poll. Top of the chat. Go check it out. All right. Oy. Let me see here. This is very annoying. Let's see if we got an update on there. Here it is. So they said, defense says, it appears she is enjoying herself. Daniel says, yes. What was your position? He says, missionary. I was like, did that just happen? She asked you for a photo? Philip says, I do not know if Sean Combs asked for it. Then judge says, ignore that. Then he says, ignore that. We'll pick up here tomorrow. So now they have reconvened, or they have convened, adjourned. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of confused about this too, and I'm hoping that there's going to be more updates that are going to make more sense here. So it says here, the defense is asking Daniel Phillip about every detail of his first spicy encounter with Cassie at the Gramercy Park Hotel over a decade ago. Phillip testified that he thought he had been hired to dance for a bachelorette party, but Cassie answered the front door alone wearing a wig and sunglasses. Danielson, the defense, seems to be trying to highlight moments of when Cassie was a willing participant and initiator of the actual act. Okay, it appears to be that she was enjoying herself. Would that be fair to say? Then Philip says yes. That is a strong question, and that is a strong answer. I'm sorry, guys. What they're trying to show is that, again, maybe they showed footage. I don't know what they did right there. If they showed footage, maybe they were showing some of the freak off video or something like that. It appears that she is enjoying herself. Would that be fair to say? Maybe it's footage, a photo of some sort. And he's like, yeah, she was having a good time. But like I said before, just because she was having a good time before doesn't mean that she doesn't want to. That doesn't mean that every time she's been caught on camera means that she was having a great time. Okay? Period. But let's move on. Court is adjourned for the day. He will take the stand again tomorrow morning. Okay? So that's a pretty big answer. Especially, it's like, hey, in this photo, looking like she's having a great time there. Wouldn't you say, Daniel? And Daniel's like, yeah, she was having a good time there. But that doesn't mean anything. Still, that is bad. I will say that. It is bad. But also it could mean she was having a good time then. She was fine with that kind of act then. Then maybe she had a change of heart later on and just didn't want to do it anymore. There's still that. Just like the whole situation with Shannon Sharpe. The Shannon Sharpe shakedown. Shannon Sharpe. Right? In the very beginning, with that girl, with that Jane Doe and Gabriella Zuniga, in the very beginning, it was consensual. Everything was fine until that one moment she said that one syllable word. She said no. As soon as she said no, that changes the complete trajectory of their consensual, spicy relationship. Same thing here. Cassie was in a situation. She may have been down for it, maybe because she was under the influence a whole lot, maybe because she just wanted to be a little freaky deaky. You know what I'm saying? And then later on, maybe she found some second moment where she was like, wait a second, I'm not okay with that. Oh my God, what am I doing? This is wrong. No, I'm not cool with that. And then she says, no, I don't want to do this anymore. But Diddy's also going like, you better come back and you better do this stuff like we agreed upon, forcing her, putting his hands on her, and making her do something she doesn't want to do anymore. As soon as she says, I don't want to do it anymore, that should have been heard and that should have been respected. But that's not the case here. So they can show photos of old good times back in the day where she had the time of her life getting ran through even. It doesn't matter. As soon as she says, I don't want to do this anymore, and you got somebody putting their hands on her to make her do those acts, you got a crime, everybody. You got yourself a crime. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Okay? It's going to be interesting to see what happens here from this point on. Again, let's see what happens. There's still so much going on. So much going on. Okay? And I'm going to end this poll, though. I know it was a short poll. That's what she said. But, you know, we are going to be talking about this more we're going to be talking about this more tomorrow anyway. Okay. So what side do you think won today? And right now, out of the 305 votes, 85% of you guys say prosecution won for today. Again, every day is going to be a new situation. Tomorrow, it could be the defense coming out with fire information. You never know. Like I said, when it comes to the trial, he is innocent until proven guilty. Doesn't matter what the court of public opinion thinks. It doesn't matter. We could sit here all thinking that he's innocent as hell. And then prosecution just lays out all kinds of stuff. And we might be like, oh, no, he did that. Oh, he in trouble. Oh, Diddy in trouble. Or defense might come out laying out all kinds of crazy stuff. And we might be like, oh, damn, I did not even think of that angle. Damn, they did this crazy good. You never know. Today, though, prosecution seem to be coming in with stuff. But you got to remember, all the people that they're bringing in is prosecution right now. You never know. In a week or 2 or 3, the defense is going to have their turn. And that could change everything. Remember that. Also, you never know. Gina, victim 3, who says they're not cooperating with prosecution, might show up and be speaking out on behalf of Diddy. That could change everything. You got to remember, there's going to be people that are going to be coming in to say, I was there and I saw these certain things, and Diddy never put his hands on Cassie. What Daniel's saying here, he's lying. He's not telling the truth. What I saw is a completely different situation. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a lot. This is going to be a tough trial. As much as we all think, oh, he done, he might not. Give us some time. This is only day 1 of an 8-week trial. And you already know it's about to be a circus. Inside and outside that courtroom, get ready for it. It's about to be nook and foots. Okay? It is about to be nook and foots. But let's see. I'm just going to see if there's any. Nope. They just ended that ish. Nah, you know what? I'm going to end it right there too. So tomorrow, I'm going to be a few hours late, okay, to the start of everything. But trust and believe, we will be watching and we will be covering this tomorrow, okay? I'll just be on a few hours late tomorrow. If you could wait for me, and we'll do a crazy recap and catch up to everything that has happened from the start of the day, okay? But I will be here to talk about everything that's going on in tomorrow's trial. I definitely do not want to miss the Cassie situation. her testimony is going to be massive. And I know we all don't want to miss that for sure. So that is the show, guys. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Okay. Thank you so much for spending the time with me. All right. Yes, Carrie. Thank you. Make sure you got that notification on, okay? Keep it on. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, okay? Please and thank you. I will be on tomorrow, okay? I will just be on a little bit late. Sorry. I really want to be here in the morning, but I got things to do, okay? But again, please do me a favor, okay? Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you can, ever so kindly. If you are watching on those other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, make sure you are hitting that follow button over there. Follow. Subscribe here on my main channel. Go to my secondary channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Crush that subscribe button over there. Make sure you have the notification bell set to all, please. Okay, that's super important. Hit that join button down below. Please become a member. Check out that Patreon. Check out that Locals. And of course, check out PascalMerch.com. PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff like the Diddy t-shirt. Okay. We may have some other designs coming out very soon. So go check it out. Please and thank you. It's right there at PascalMerch.com. All right, guys. Anyway, it's time to get going. I'll be talking to you guys very soon. I got another video, a short video to give you guys a little bit later on. So be on the lookout for it, okay? It's on something completely different, but it's another case that we are covering on this channel. Anyway, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys. Have a great one. Stay safe out there. And if I don't see you in the next video, I will see you guys tomorrow. Much love. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.